Scarlet Oath Prologue. The Man in the Red Room. The subway car lurched, and I stumbled into a pole, my birthday tiara, a ridiculous glittery thing Maya had insisted I wear, sliding askew on my head. 25 years old and celebrating with dollar store decorations and cheap champagne smuggled onto the L train. That was my life. Speech. Speech. Maya shouted over the rattling tracks, her words slurred from the wine we'd shared at dinner. I laughed, steadying myself as the train rounded a corner. What do you want me to say? Thank you for forcing me to wear this monstrosity in public? You love it, she grinned, adjusting the plastic crown on my head. Besides, 25 is a big deal. Quarter of a century. You're officially old enough to. The train screeched to a halt at 59th Street, the sudden stop sending us both stumbling. The doors hissed open. That's when I saw them. 3 men in dark coats stood on the platform, their eyes locked on our car. On me. Something about the way they moved, synchronized, purposeful, made my throat tighten. Maya, I whispered, my hand finding her arm. We need to get off. This isn't our stop. Now. I pulled her through the closing doors just as they began to board, our heels clicking frantically against the concrete platform. My heart hammered against my ribs as we pushed through the evening crowd, the birthday tiara slipping from my head and clattering to the ground behind me. Emilia, what the hell? Maya gasped, struggling to keep up in her stilettos. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because when I glanced back, the men were following, their faces illuminated intermittently by the harsh platform lights. Hard features. Cold eyes. The kind of men who knew exactly how much damage they could inflict. We burst through the turnstile and up the stairs, emerging onto a street I didn't recognize. Manhattan at night. A maze of shadows and neon, strangers and noise. I yanked Maya left, then right, my lungs burning as we ran. Stop. She pulled free, doubled over and breathing hard. What is going on? Those men. What men? You're being paranoid. Too much wine. A black sedan pulled up beside us, tires squealing. The back door flew open. Get in. The voice was male, American, commanding. I grabbed Maya's hand and ran. We made it 3 steps before arms closed around my waist, lifting me off the ground. I screamed, kicking, clawing at the hands that held me. Maya's shrieks echoed off the buildings as someone grabbed her too. Let her go. I shouted. Take me, just let her. Something sharp pricked my neck. The world tilted, colors bleeding together like watercolors in rain. I heard Maya calling my name, heard car doors slamming, heard the screech of tires. Then nothing. Red light. That was the first thing I registered. Not warm morning sun or the cool blue of dawn, but red, deep and crimson, like light filtered through wine. My eyelids felt weighted, my limbs heavy and distant. I tried to move and couldn't, panic sparking through the fog in my mind. Was I tied down? Drugged? Easy. The voice came from somewhere to my right, low and smooth. Don't try to move yet. Whatever they gave you needs time to wear off. The men from the subway. The needle in my neck. I forced my eyes to focus. The red light came from floor-to-ceiling windows covered in crimson curtains. The fabric so thick it transformed the daylight outside into something that looked like perpetual sunset. Or perhaps it was meant to hide blood. The room itself was a study in contrasts, modern and luxurious, with sleek furniture and artwork that probably cost more than my yearly salary, but there was something deliberately theatrical about it. The red light. The massive bed I was lying on, sheets like black silk against my skin. The scent of expensive cologne mixing with something darker. Leather. Where? My voice cracked. I swallowed and tried again. Where am I? Safe. The man moved into my line of sight, and despite the drugs still clouding my system, my breath caught. He was younger than I expected. Mid-30s, perhaps, with the kind of face that belonged in Renaissance paintings, sharp cheekbones, a strong jaw, and eyes so dark they were almost black in the red-tinted light. His hair was ink-dark, pushed back from his forehead, and he wore a white shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms marked with scars. Beautiful and dangerous in equal measure. Safe. I tried to sit up and managed to prop myself on my elbows. You drugged me. Kidnapped me. I saved you. He moved closer, and I caught the full weight of his presence, over 6 feet of controlled power, moving with the predatory grace of something that had never been prey. And I didn't drug you. They did. I merely intercepted. Who are they? Who are you? My head was clearing, the fog lifting enough for fear to sharp its edges. Where's Maya? Your friend is home, unharmed. Believing you left with a man you met at the bar. He pulled up a chair and sat, studying me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. She won't report you missing. I've seen to that. You've seen to. I shook my head, trying to make sense of this nightmare. This is insane. I don't know you. I don't know what you want. I need to leave. I tried to stand, and the room spun violently. I would have fallen if he hadn't been there, his hands steadying me with surprising gentleness. I told you not to move yet. He eased me back onto the bed, his face closer to mine than before. This close, I could see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes, could smell cedar and something spiced. You were given Rohypnol, a heavy dose. You'll be weak for a few more hours. Rohypnol. Date rape drug. The implications hit me like ice water. Did you? I couldn't finish the sentence, couldn't voice the fear clawing up my throat. His expression hardened. No. And neither did they, though that would have been the least of your concerns. He stood, moving to a side table where he poured water from a crystal decanter. You need to flush the drug from your system. I took the glass with shaking hands, studying him over the rim. Why should I trust anything you give me? If I wanted you unconscious, Emilia, you'd still be unconscious. He sat back down, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp. And if I wanted to hurt you, I wouldn't need drugs to do it. The casual menace in those words should have terrified me. Instead, something in his tone, a matter-of-fact honesty, made me believe him. I drank. The water was cold and clean, cutting through the chemical taste in my mouth. How do you know my name? I know everything about you. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled beneath his chin. Emilia Rose Thorne. 25 as of yesterday. Happy birthday, by the way. You work as a music therapist at St. Catherine's Hospital, live in a studio apartment in Williamsburg that you share with too many plants, and you haven't spoken to your brother in 3 years. My blood ran cold. How? You were targeted, Emilia. Those men on the subway? They weren't random thugs. They were sent by the Castiglione family to take you. To use you. His eyes never left mine. And they would have, if I hadn't gotten there first. The Castiglione. I knew that name. Everyone in New York knew that name, even if they pretended not to. One of the old families. The kind that built fortunes on blood and fear. Why would they want me? I'm nobody. You're not nobody. He stood abruptly, moving to the window and pulling back the red curtain just enough to reveal a stunning view of Manhattan at night. We were high up, maybe 30 floors, the city sprawling beneath us like a blanket of lights. You're the sister of Daniel Thorne. And Daniel stole $3 million from my family's accounts before disappearing 2 months ago. The world tilted again, this time having nothing to do with drugs. Daniel? My brother's name felt foreign on my tongue. We'd been close once, before he'd fallen in with the wrong crowd, before he'd started making money in ways I didn't want to know about. Before he'd vanished without a word. He wouldn't. He did. The man turned back to face me, and in the better light, I finally got a clear look at him. Classical Italian features softened by something American, second generation, probably. Expensive suit jacket hung on a chair nearby, shoulder holster visible beneath his shirt. And the Castigliones think you know where he is. Where the money is. I don't. The words came out desperate. I haven't seen him in years. He stopped taking my calls, stopped. I stopped, realizing I was explaining myself to my captor. Look, I don't know who you are or what you want, but I can't help you. I don't know anything about stolen money or whatever Daniel's involved in now. I know you don't. He said it simply as if it were fact. But the Castigliones don't believe that. And they were going to take you to their questioning facility in Red Hook. Do you know what happens there, Emilia? I shook my head, not trusting my voice. Things that would make you beg for death. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Old ghosts, maybe. Or fresh ones. Things that would have broken you in ways you couldn't imagine. And when they were done, when they'd extracted every scrap of information you don't actually have, they would have sent pieces of you back to your brother. To make him come out of hiding. Bile rose in my throat. I set the water glass down before I dropped it. So you've, what? Saved me out of the goodness of your heart. No. He moved back toward me, each step deliberate. Measured. I saved you because you're worth more to me alive. Because the Castigliones taking you would have started a war I'm not ready to fight. And because, he paused, something unreadable crossing his face. Because I don't let them take innocent women off the street in my city. Your city? My city. The words carried weight. Authority. Welcome to my world, Emilia. I'm Leonardo Ventresi. And as of right now, you're under my protection. The name hit me like a physical blow. Ventresi. The other family. The one that controlled the East Side, the docks, half the legitimate businesses in Manhattan and all the illegitimate ones. Daniel had mentioned them once, years ago, his voice tight with fear. Stay away from the Ventresis. They're not like other families. They don't forgive. They don't forget. No. I stood again, steadier this time despite my still swimming head. No, I don't want your protection. I don't want anything to do with this. Just let me go home. The window behind him exploded. Glass shattered inward in a spray of glittering shards as bullets tore through the space where Leonardo had been standing a moment before. But he was already moving, already reaching me, his body slamming into mine and bearing us both to the floor behind the bed. Stay down. His weight pressed me into the carpet, one arm around me, the other reaching for the gun in his shoulder holster. More bullets. The sound was deafening, sharp cracks and splintering wood, the metallic ping of rounds hitting picture frames and furniture. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only press my face into Leonardo's chest as he shielded me with his body. Then, as suddenly as it started, the shooting stopped. Silence rushed in, broken only by my ragged breathing and the distant wail of car alarms on the street below. Leonardo lifted his head, gun raised, his body still covering mine. Marco, he shouted. Perimeter check. Now. Footsteps thundered in the hallway. Voices. Men shouting in Italian, coordinating, securing. Through it all, Leonardo didn't move, didn't lift his weight from me until a man appeared in the doorway. All clear, boss. Rifle team on the building across the street. They're gone. Only then did Leonardo rise, pulling me up with him. His hands gripped my arms, his dark eyes scanning me frantically. Are you hurt? Did anything? I'm fine. The words came out shaky. I wasn't fine. I was the opposite of fine. Someone had just tried to kill us. Kill me. What the hell was that? That, Leonardo said grimly, his hands still on my arms, steadying or claiming, I couldn't tell which, was the Castigliones sending a message. They know I have you now. I looked at the shattered window, at the bullet holes pocking the walls, at the red curtains now in tatters and letting in harsh white light from the city. My birthday tiara was probably still lying on that subway platform. 24 hours ago, my biggest concern had been whether I could afford the electric bill. I want to go home, I whispered. Leonardo's grip tightened fractionally. When he spoke, his voice was soft but absolute. Inevitable as gravity. You can't, Emilia. Home isn't safe anymore. Nowhere is safe except here. He turned me to face him fully, his expression fierce and unyielding. From now on you stay. The words hung in the air between us, a declaration and a prison sentence all at once. Behind him, through the ruined window, Manhattan glittered with a million lights. A million lives being lived in blessed ignorance of the world I'd just been dragged into. A world of blood and bullets and beautiful men with dangerous eyes. A world I had never wanted. A world I couldn't escape. Leonardo Ventresi's world. And as he led me away from the destroyed room, his hand firm on my back, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just crossed a threshold I could never uncross. That the woman who'd boarded that subway in a dollar store tiara was gone forever. In her place stood someone else. Someone who would have to learn to survive in the dark. Chapter 1. The Debt That Wasn't Hers. The safe room was smaller than the bedroom, all concrete and steel, with no windows and air that tasted recycled. Leonardo had brought me here after the shooting, after his men had swept the penthouse and declared it compromised. Whatever that meant. I sat on a utilitarian cot, wrapped in a blanket someone had provided, watching Leonardo pace like a caged wolf. He'd been on the phone for the past 20 minutes, speaking rapid Italian to various people, his tone alternating between cold command and barely restrained fury. Finally, he ended the call and turned to face me. "How long do I have to stay down here?" My voice sounded strange in the confined space, too loud, too fragile. "Until I'm certain the building is secure." He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, studying me with that unnerving intensity. They hit us from 3 different angles. Coordinated. Professional. The Castigliones wanted to make it clear they know exactly where you are. "Then let me go." I stood, the blanket falling from my shoulders. "If I'm not here, they have no reason to attack you. I'll disappear. Change my name. Move to Montana." His lips curved without humor. "Kansas? Emilia, you're not understanding the situation. This isn't about geography. There is nowhere in this country, nowhere in this hemisphere, where they won't find you if they want to. The only thing keeping you alive right now is the fact that getting to you means going through me." "Why?" The question burst out of me. "Why do you even care? You said Daniel stole from your family. I should be your enemy too. Why protect me?" Something flickered across his face, an emotion I couldn't read. "Sit down. There's more you need to know." I didn't want to sit. Didn't want to hear whatever would make this nightmare more real. But my legs were shaking, the adrenaline from the attack finally wearing off, leaving me hollow and cold. I sat. Leonardo moved to a metal cabinet and pulled out a tablet, tapping the screen a few times before handing it to me. "This was delivered to one of my clubs 3 days ago." The screen showed a video player, paused on a black frame. My finger hovered over the play button. "What is this?" "Watch." I pressed play. The video was dark, shot in what looked like a warehouse or basement. Concrete floors. Metal shelving. And in the center, tied to a chair, was a woman. Her face was swollen, bloodied, her hair matted with what I hoped was just water. My stomach turned. A man entered the frame, his face obscured by the camera angle. He spoke directly to the lens, his voice distorted by some kind of filter. "Leonardo Ventresi, you took something that belonged to us. The Thorne boy and our 3 million. We know you're hiding him. We know you're helping him." "I'm not," I whispered, though no one in the video could hear me. "Daniel isn't." The man in the video continued. "So here's what happens now. We take one of yours for every week you keep hiding him. Starting with the pretty music therapist. We've been watching her. She leaves work at 6 every Tuesday. Takes the L train home. Always alone." The camera panned back to the woman in the chair. She lifted her head, and even through the blood and bruising, I could see the pleading in her eyes. "This is Sofia Greco," the distorted voice said. "She worked in your casino. Loyal employee. Innocent." The pause. "Until she wasn't." The screen went black. I stared at it, my hands trembling. "Is she dead?" "They dumped her body in front of my building 2 days ago." Leonardo's voice was flat, emotionless, but his hands were clenched into fists. "She had a daughter. 6 years old." The tablet nearly slipped from my fingers. "And they're going to do that to me. Because of Daniel. They were going to do that to you." He took the tablet back, his fingers brushing mine. "I prevented it." "How?" I looked up at him. "How did you even know they were targeting me?" Leonardo was quiet for a long moment, his jaw working. When he finally spoke, his words were careful, measured. "Because I've had someone watching your brother for months. Tracking his movements, his communications. And 3 weeks ago, we intercepted a message from the Castigliones. They were planning to take you during your birthday celebration. The pieces started falling into place, each one making my stomach sink further. You knew. Before last night, you knew they were coming for me. Yes. And you didn't warn me. Didn't tell the police. Didn't. The police. He laughed, a harsh sound. Emilia, the Castigliones own half the NYPD. You think filing a report would have helped? You'd have disappeared from a precinct-holding cell, and no one would have asked questions. I stood abruptly, anger cutting through the fear. So you just, what? Let them drug me? Let them take me? You could have stopped it before. If I'd stopped it before, they would have tried again. And again. Until they succeeded. He moved closer, his presence overwhelming in the small space. I needed them to think they'd gotten you. Needed them to show their hand. And I needed you to understand exactly how much danger you're in, so you'd stop fighting me and let me keep you safe. Let you. I shoved him, both hands against his chest. It was like pushing a wall. You manipulated me. Used me as bait. Yes. No apology. No softening. I did what was necessary to protect an innocent woman from being tortured to death. You're welcome. Go to hell. I'm already there, sweetheart. Have been for years. He caught my wrists as I tried to shove him again, his grip firm but not painful. But you don't have to be. Not if you cooperate. Cooperate with what? I tried to pull free, but he held fast. Being your prisoner? Your bargaining chip. With staying alive. His eyes bored into mine. The Castigliones think you know where Daniel is. Think you can lead them to the money. I know you can't. But there's one person who might be able to use you to draw Daniel out. You. The word tasted like ash. You want to use me to find my brother. To save your brother. He released my wrists but didn't step back. Daniel stole from me. But he also stole from the Castigliones, from their money that was being laundered through my accounts. That makes him a liability to both families. The Castigliones want him dead as an example. I want him alive long enough to fix the mess he created. And then what? Then you kill him? Something almost like regret crossed Leonardo's face. Then I give him a choice. Work off the debt or disappear somewhere even I can't find him. But that's only possible if we find him before the Castigliones do. I sank back onto the cot, my mind reeling. I told you. I don't know where he is. But he'll come for you. Leonardo crouched in front of me, bringing us eye level. If he thinks you're in danger, real danger, he'll surface. Daniel might be a thief, but he's not a monster. He won't let his sister die for his mistakes. So I'm bait. Again. Your leverage. There's a difference. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear with surprising gentleness. And you're also under my protection, which means you're the safest person in New York right now. Do you understand what that means, Emilia? What I'm risking to keep you safe? No. I met his eyes. I don't understand any of this. Yesterday, I was a music therapist who couldn't afford health insurance. Today, I'm caught in some mafia war because my idiot brother, my voice broke. I want my life back. I know. For the first time since this nightmare began, Leonardo's voice softened. And I'll do everything I can to give it back to you. But first, you have to trust me. Trust you? I laughed bitterly. You kidnapped me. Let me be drugged. Used me as bait. Shot out your own windows for what I assume was dramatic effect. That was real. His expression darkened. The Castigliones have a sniper. He's taken out 3 of my men in the past month. Tonight was his 4th attempt. He stood, moving to the door. Which is why you're staying here until we relocate. Relocate where? Somewhere more secure. He pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. I have a property upstate. Isolated. Defensible. We'll move there tomorrow. Tomorrow? Panic spiked through me. I have work tomorrow. I have patients who depend on. Your supervisor received a call an hour ago. Family emergency. You'll be on leave for the next month, fully paid. You can't just. I can. I did. He looked up from his phone. Emilia, I understand you're angry. I understand this isn't the life you chose. But right now, your choices are limited. You can cooperate and stay safe, or you can fight me and die. It's that simple. Nothing about this is simple. No, he agreed. It's not. A knock sounded at the door, 3 sharp raps in quick succession. Leonardo's hand moved to his gun before he called out in Italian. A response came from the other side, and he relaxed fractionally, opening the door. A woman entered, tall and striking, with short dark hair and eyes that missed nothing. She wore tactical gear, cargo pants, boots, a vest with enough pockets to hide a small arsenal. Her gaze swept over me, assessing before returning to Leonardo. Perimeters secure. Marco's team found the rifle nest. Sniper's gone, but he left this. She handed Leonardo a small object. He examined it, his jaw tightening. Calling card. What does it mean? I asked, standing to see what they were looking at. Leonardo showed me a small brass token, about the size of a quarter, with an ornate C engraved on one side. It means Vincenzo Castiglione himself ordered the hit. This isn't just foot soldiers acting on initiative. This is personal. Vincenzo Castiglione. The name sent ice through my veins. I'd read about him in the papers, the supposed businessman who philanthropied his way into high society while allegedly running one of New York's most violent crime families. The Vincenzo Castiglione? He knows I exist. As of tonight, yes. Leonardo pocketed the token. Which is why we're moving immediately. Sophia will take you upstairs to pack what you need. We leave in 30 minutes. Pack what I need? I looked down at myself, still wearing the dress from last night, now wrinkled and torn at the hem. I don't have anything here. Then Sophia will find you something. He was already texting again, his attention divided. Sophia, stay with her. Don't let her out of your sight. The woman, Sophia, nodded. Come on. We'll get you sorted. I wanted to argue, to refuse, to do something other than meekly follow orders. But the memory of that video, of Sophia Greco's bruised and bloodied face, kept me silent. As Sophia led me out of the safe room and back toward the main penthouse, I caught a glimpse through the shattered windows. Dawn was breaking over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. A new day. My first full day in Leonardo Ventresi's world. I wondered if I'd survive to see another. The bedroom Sophia brought me to was mercifully window-free, located in the interior of the penthouse. Someone had already laid out clothes on the bed, practical things, jeans, sweaters, boots. All in my size. How? Boss had someone raid your apartment last night. Sophia leaned against the doorframe, her posture relaxed but her eyes alert. Grabbed clothes, toiletries, some personal items. They're being packed for transport now. He broke into my apartment. Technically, his people broke into your apartment. And before you get worked up about it, they also installed a security system, paid your rent through the end of the year, and fed your plants. She smiled slightly. The ones that were still alive, anyway. Despite everything, I felt a flicker of indignation. My plants are fine, thank you very much. The cactus in your bathroom was dead, honey. Very dead. Sophia pushed off the doorframe. Get dressed. We don't have much time. She closed the door, giving me privacy. I stood there for a moment, staring at the clothes that weren't mine but were my size, in a room that was both luxurious and imprisoning, in a life that had been stolen from me in the span of a single night. Then I got dressed. When I emerged, Sophia was waiting with a go-bag slung over her shoulder. Better. The heels were impractical. I was celebrating my birthday. Sue me. Fair point. She handed me a leather jacket. Put this on. Where we're going it gets cold. Where exactly are we going? Need to know basis. And right now, you don't need to know. She started walking, and I had no choice but to follow. But I can tell you it's remote, it's secure, and it has everything you'll need to be comfortable while the boss sorts this mess out. Sorts this mess out, I repeated. You make it sound like a paperwork problem, not a war between crime families with me as the prize. Sophia glanced back at me, her expression softening slightly. Look, I get it. This sucks. You didn't ask for any of this. But Leonardo's one of the good ones, relatively speaking. He could have handed you over to the Castigliones to avoid a conflict. Could have used you as bait without protecting you first. Could have done a lot of things that would have ended with you dead or wishing you were. Instead, he just kidnapped me and shot out his own windows. He saved your life. Twice now. We entered an elevator, and Sophia pressed a button for the parking garage. Whether you want to see it that way or not. The elevator descended in silence. When the doors opened, I stepped into an underground garage filled with expensive cars and armed men. At least a dozen, all wearing dark suits and shoulder holsters, all watching me with varying degrees of curiosity and suspicion. Leonardo stood beside a black SUV, conferring with an older man in an expensive suit. When he saw me, he said something to the man and walked over. Ready? Do I have a choice? No. He opened the SUV's back door. But I appreciate you not making this harder than it needs to be. I climbed in, and Sophia slid in beside me. Leonardo took the front passenger seat, and the driver, a square-jawed man who looked like he could bench press a small car, started the engine. As we pulled out of the garage and into the pre-dawn streets of Manhattan, I watched my city slide past the tinted windows. The diner where Maya and I had eaten countless breakfasts. The park where I liked to run on weekends. The hospital where my patients were probably wondering where I was. All of it slipping away, possibly forever. How long? I asked quietly. How long do I have to stay, wherever we're going? Leonardo turned to look at me over his shoulder. Until Daniel surfaces or the Castigliones give up. Whichever comes first. And if neither happens? His eyes held mine, dark and unreadable in the dim interior of the SUV. Then I'll find another way to keep you safe. I promise you that, Emilia. No matter what it takes. I wanted to call him a liar. Wanted to demand he turn the car around and let me go. Wanted to believe I could survive this on my own. But the memory of that brass token, Vincenzo Castiglione's calling card, sat heavy in my mind. And beneath my anger and fear, a small, traitorous part of me felt something else. Relief. Relief that someone, even someone as dangerous and morally ambiguous as Leonardo Ventresi, was standing between me and the monsters who wanted me dead. I turned away from him, pressing my forehead against the cool glass of the window, and watched New York City disappear behind us. My old life, gone. My new life, just beginning. And somewhere out there, my brother was running, unaware that his sins had finally caught up to the one person he'd always promised to protect. Chapter 2. The Golden Cage. The safe house wasn't what I expected. I'd imagined something utilitarian, concrete bunkers and fluorescent lights, the kind of place you saw in movies where witnesses got stashed before trials. Instead, 3 hours north of Manhattan, we pulled up to what could only be described as an estate. Stone and timber construction, sprawling across manicured grounds, with the Catskill Mountains rising like sentinels in the background. Gardens that even in late autumn held a wild, maintained beauty. And everywhere, cameras, sensors, armed men patrolling in pairs. A fortress disguised as a paradise. Home sweet home, Sophia said as the SUV crunched to a stop on the gravel drive. Welcome to Blackwood Estate. Leonardo was already out, speaking to a man in his 50s with silver-shot hair and the bearing of a military officer. They conversed in low tones while I climbed out, my legs stiff from the drive. The air here was different, cleaner, sharper, carrying the scent of pine and earth instead of exhaust and concrete. For a moment, I could almost forget the circumstances that brought me here. Almost. Miss Thorne. The silver-haired man approached, extending his hand. I'm Anton Volkov, head of security for this property. You'll be safe here, I assure you. His accent was faintly Russian, his handshake firm and professional. I liked him immediately, which probably said something disturbing about my judgment. How many men do you have? I found myself asking. 20 on rotation. 30 if Mr. Ventresi deems it necessary. He gestured toward the house. Cameras cover every approach, motion sensors throughout the woods, and we have drones running aerial surveillance every 4 hours. A mouse couldn't reach this house without us knowing. And if the Castigliones send more than mice? Anton smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. Then they'll discover why Mr. Ventresi chose this location. There's only one road in, Miss Thorne. Easy to defend. Easier to control. Leonardo joined us, his hand finding the small of my back, a gesture that was becoming disturbingly familiar. Anton will handle the external security. Inside, Sophia answers to me. You don't leave the house without one of them. You don't go near windows without clearing the area first. And you don't make any calls or send any messages without my approval. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected. His tone left no room for argument. There's a difference. Is there? I pulled away from his touch. Because from where I'm standing, it looks the same. Something flickered in his eyes, annoyance, perhaps, or maybe respect for pushing back. Let me show you inside. The interior was even more impressive than the exterior. Vaulted ceilings with exposed beams, stone fireplaces large enough to stand in, furniture that managed to be both rustic and expensive. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lined one entire wall of the main room, filled with volumes in multiple languages. But it was the music that caught my attention. A violin, displayed in a glass case near the windows. Even from across the room, I could see it was beautiful, old wood glowing like amber in the afternoon light, the craftsmanship exquisite. I moved toward it without thinking, drawn by professional curiosity and something else. Something about the way it was positioned, isolated and spotlit like a museum piece, suggested this wasn't just decoration. Do you play? Leonardo's voice came from behind me, closer than I expected. No. But I work with instruments every day. Music therapy. I studied the violin through the glass. This is a Stradivarius. Close. Guarneri del Gesù. 1743. He moved to stand beside me, his reflection ghosting across the glass case. It belonged to my grandmother. She played with the Milan Symphony before she married into the family. It's beautiful. I meant it. The violin was a work of art, every curve and line speaking to centuries of master craftsmanship. Do you play? The question hung in the air for a long moment before he answered. I did. Once. There was something in his tone, loss, regret, old wounds barely healed. I turned to look at him, really look at him, in the better light of the house. The sharp angles of his face, the shadows beneath his eyes suggesting he hadn't slept, the tension he carried in his shoulders like armor. What happened? His jaw tightened. Life. Responsibility. The family business. He turned away from the violin, effectively ending the conversation. Your room is upstairs. Sophia will show you. As if summoned, Sophia appeared at the top of the curved staircase. Come on. I'll give you the tour. I followed her up, glancing back once to see Leonardo still standing by the violin case, his hand pressed against the glass. The posture of a man looking at something he'd lost and could never get back. My room was enormous. A suite, really, with a bedroom, sitting area, and bathroom that was bigger than my entire studio apartment had been. The bed was a four-poster monstrosity piled with pillows, and French doors opened onto a small balcony overlooking the mountains. Don't go out there, Sophia said, seeing me eye the doors. Sniper's dream. You want fresh air, use the interior courtyard. Of course. I set down the bag someone had brought up. Is there anything I can do? Library's open. So's the gym, the kitchen, the music room. Music room? Sophia smiled. Yeah. Boss had it built a few years back. Never uses it, but it's fully equipped. Soundproofed. You being a music therapist and all, figured you might appreciate it. He had it built? I frowned. Why? That's a question for him, not me. She moved toward the door. Dinner's at 7. Dress is casual. And Emilia? She paused in the doorway. Try not to run. It never works, and it just pisses everyone off. After she left, I stood in the center of my beautiful prison and tried not to scream. Everything in this room probably cost more than I'd earned in a year. The sheets felt like liquid silk, the bathroom fixtures were gold-plated, and I'd spotted a Monet, an actual Monet, hanging in the sitting area. But I'd trade it all for my cramped studio and the freedom to walk to the corner bodega without armed escorts. I moved to the French doors despite Sophia's warning, looking out at the mountains rising against the autumn sky. The sun was setting, painting everything in shades of amber and crimson. Beautiful and isolated. Like the violin downstairs. Like me. I found the music room before dinner. It wasn't hard. I just followed the pull of curiosity through the house's winding corridors until I reached a heavy oak door with exceptional soundproofing seals. The kind of setup that cost serious money. Inside, I stopped breathing. The room was perfect. More than perfect. A grand piano dominated one corner, its surface gleaming. Guitars, acoustic and electric, hung on one wall in climate-controlled cases. A full drum kit. Keyboards. Wind instruments. String instruments. Recording equipment that looked both vintage and cutting-edge. And in the center, on a simple stand, another violin. Not a Guarneri this time. Something more modern, more practical. I picked it up carefully, checking the strings, the bow. Everything was maintained, tuned, ready to play. But covered in dust. How long had this room sat unused? How long since Leonardo had touched these instruments he'd so carefully collected? I drew the bow across the strings experimentally, and even my unpracticed attempt produced a clear, resonant note that filled the room. The acoustics were flawless. I didn't know you played. I spun, nearly dropping the violin. Leonardo stood in the doorway, still wearing the clothes from the drive but with his sleeves rolled up and his hair slightly mussed, as if he'd been running his hands through it. Not well. I set the violin back on its stand. I studied piano and voice in school, but strings were never my forte. I just couldn't resist looking. He entered the room, his eyes moving over the instruments with an expression I couldn't quite read. Music therapy. You use these to help people? In a way. Music accesses parts of the brain that talk therapy can't reach. Helps with trauma, depression, memory disorders. I moved to the piano, running my fingers over the keys without pressing them. I had a patient once, a veteran with severe PTSD. Couldn't talk about what happened to him. But give him a guitar, and suddenly he could express everything he'd been holding inside. And it worked? The music healed him. It helped him. Healing's more complicated than that. I looked at Leonardo. But yes, music can reach people when nothing else can. It's the language we all speak, even when we think we've forgotten how. He moved to the piano, standing close enough that I could feel the warmth of his body in the cool room. Play something. I told you I'm not. Play anyway. There was something in his voice, not quite a command, but close. A need poorly hidden. As if whatever I played might answer a question he couldn't voice. I sat at the piano bench, my fingers finding the keys. What do you play for a man who lives in darkness? What music reaches someone who's locked away the parts of himself that could create beauty? Chopin. Nocturne in E-flat major. Melancholic but hopeful, filled with yearning and the memory of light. My fingers were rusty, stumbling over passages I'd once known perfectly. But the room's acoustics forgave my mistakes, and the piano itself seemed to want to be played, responding to every touch like it had been waiting for this moment. I lost myself in the music, forgot about Leonardo watching, forgot about the circumstances that brought me here. For 3 minutes and 46 seconds, I was just a woman playing piano in a room built for exactly this purpose. When the final notes faded, silence rushed back in. Heavy and expectant. My mother used to play that. Leonardo's voice was rough, as if he hadn't spoken in years. Before she married my father. Before the family consumed everything she was. I turned on the bench to face him. He'd moved to the window, his back to me, his reflection dark against the glass. What happened to her? She died when I was 17. Cancer. He was quiet for a moment. My father wouldn't let her go back to music after they married. Said it was beneath the wife of a Ventresi. Made her stop performing, stop teaching. Stop everything that made her who she was. I'm sorry. I swore I wouldn't be like him. His laugh was bitter. Swore I'd never trap someone, never take their choices away. And yet here you are. I stood, moving toward him before I could think better of it. You're not your father, Leonardo. You're protecting me, not. Am I? He turned to face me, and the raw emotion in his eyes stole my breath. Or am I keeping you here because letting you go means admitting I can't control everything? That I can't keep everyone safe? We stood too close, the air between us charged with something dangerous. I should step back. Should remind myself that this man had kidnapped me, upended my life, trapped me in this golden cage. Instead, I said, "Why did you really build this room?" His eyes searched mine. Because I needed to believe that someday I could come back to it. That the part of me that wanted to create instead of destroy wasn't completely dead. He reached out, his fingers barely brushing my cheek. And maybe because I knew that someday, someone would need it. Someone like me. Someone exactly like you. The moment stretched between us, fragile and trembling. His hand cupped my cheek fully now, thumb tracing my cheekbone with a gentleness that seemed impossible from a man who dealt in violence. I should pull away. Should remember that Stockholm Syndrome was real and insidious. Should protect myself. But his touch felt like coming home to a place I'd never been. "Emilia," he whispered, my name a question and a warning all at once. The door burst open. We sprang apart as Anton strode in, his expression grim. "Sir, we have a situation. Someone breached the southern perimeter." Leonardo's entire demeanor changed in an instant, the vulnerable man disappearing, replaced by the cold strategist. "How many?" "Just one." "No. He's demanding to see the girl." My heart stopped. "Daniel." Leonardo's jaw clenched. "Show me." We followed Anton to a security room I hadn't known existed, walls lined with monitors showing every angle of the property. And there, on the southern perimeter screen, held at gunpoint by two of Anton's men, was my brother. He looked terrible. Thinner than I remembered, with a beard he'd never worn before and eyes that darted around like a trapped animal's. But it was definitely Daniel. "Let me talk to him," I said immediately. "No." Leonardo didn't take his eyes off the screen. "He's my brother. He came here for me. He came here because he's desperate." Leonardo finally looked at me. "Which makes him dangerous." "He's not. He stole $3 million from two crime families, Emilia. He put you in danger doing it. Whatever relationship you think you have with him, that man on the screen is not the brother you remember." I wanted to argue, but something in Daniel's body language on the screen gave me pause. The way he kept looking around. The way his hands moved, restless and anxious. The way he seemed to be measuring distances, calculating odds. "He's not here to rescue me," I said slowly. "He's here to use me." Leonardo nodded grimly. "The question is, use you how? As leverage against me? As a trade to the Castigliones?" He turned to Anton. "Bring him to the South Wing interrogation room. Secure him properly. I want 2 guards on him at all times." "You're going to interrogate my brother?" "I'm going to find out what he wants and why he's really here." Leonardo moved toward the door, then paused. "You can watch from the observation room if you want. But Emilia, prepare yourself. The person in that interrogation room isn't going to be the brother you remember." He was right. I watched through one-way glass as they brought Daniel in, secured him to a chair bolted to the floor. Watched Leonardo enter the room with Sophia, his entire presence radiating controlled menace. And I watched my brother, the person who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd scared off my first boyfriend, who'd promised at our mother's funeral that he'd always protect me, look at Leonardo Ventresi with calculation instead of fear. "You've got something I need," Daniel said without preamble. His voice was hoarse, used to cigarettes it hadn't been before. "And I've got something you need. We can help each other." "Is that so?" Leonardo sat across from him, perfectly relaxed, perfectly dangerous. "What could you possibly have that I need?" "Information about the Castiglione's operation. Their routes, their contacts, their accounts." Daniel leaned forward as much as his restraints allowed. "Everything you'd need to take them down permanently." "And in exchange?" "My sister. And safe passage out of the country. Both of us." My breath caught. He'd come to negotiate my freedom. Maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe. "No." Leonardo's response was immediate. "She's not yours to keep. She's under my protection, which means she's exactly mine to keep. Leonardo's voice dropped to something lethal. You don't get to put her in danger, hide for 2 months, then waltz in here and demand I hand her over like she's a poker chip. I'm her brother. You're the reason she's here. Leonardo stood, looming over Daniel. You stole from me. Stole from the Castigliones. And when they came for you, you ran. You left your sister exposed and vulnerable, and they tried to take her because of your cowardice. I was protecting her. By stealing millions and starting a war? Leonardo laughed coldly. That's not protection, Daniel. That's selfishness. You wanted the money and the glory, and you didn't care what it cost. I watched Daniel's face, waiting for denial, for righteous anger, for proof that Leonardo was wrong. Instead, my brother's expression shuddered, closed off, and I saw the truth in his silence. How much? Daniel asked quietly. Excuse me? How much to buy her freedom from you? Name your price. The words hit me like a physical blow. He wasn't here to rescue me out of love or obligation. He was here to negotiate, to trade. There is no price, Leonardo said. And even if there were, you have nothing I want. Your information about the Castigliones is worthless. I have better sources. Your money is gone, you've already spent or hidden it. And your sister? He leaned down, getting in Daniel's face. She stays here, where she's safe, until I decide otherwise. The Castigliones will never stop coming for her. Then I'll keep killing them until they learn. Leonardo straightened. You have one chance to do the right thing, Daniel. Tell me where you hid the money. I'll return it to both families, negotiate a truce, and maybe, I'll let you disappear without hunting you down myself. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, and it was nothing like the smile I remembered from childhood. This smile was sharp. True. The money's insurance. For me and for Em. You want it? You let us both go. I'll take that as a no. Leonardo nodded to Sophia. Put him in holding. Keep him comfortable but secure. He doesn't make calls, doesn't send messages, doesn't communicate with anyone. Understood? Yes, sir. As they led Daniel out, his eyes found the one-way mirror. Found me, somehow, even though he couldn't possibly see through it. And his expression was accusatory. Angry. As if I were the one who'd betrayed him. I left the observation room before Leonardo could find me there, fled back through the corridors to my suite, my vision blurring with tears I refused to shed. My brother, my only family, had come here not to save me but to use me as a bargaining chip. Had looked at me through that glass with resentment instead of love. When had he become this person? This stranger wearing my brother's face? I made it to my room before the sobs came, pressing my face into those expensive pillows and crying for everything I'd lost. My simple life. My illusions about family. My belief that love and loyalty could survive anything. A soft knock at the door eventually interrupted my breakdown. Go away, I called out, my voice rough. The door opened anyway. Of course it did. Leonardo entered, carrying a tray with tea and something that smelled like soup. He set it on the bedside table without a word, then sat on the edge of the bed, his hand coming to rest on my back. I'm sorry you had to see that. You were right. I sat up, wiping my face with the back of my hand. He's not the person I remember. Maybe he never was. People change. Especially when money's involved. His hand moved in slow circles on my back, the gesture comforting despite everything. But that doesn't mean he never loved you. It just means he loves other things more now. How philosophical of you. I've had practice disappointing people. He handed me a napkin from the tray. But for what it's worth, I meant what I said. You're under my protection. That's not negotiable. I looked at him, this dangerous, complicated man who'd kidnapped me and shot out his own windows and built a music room for a part of himself he thought was dead. Who touched me like I was precious despite knowing me for barely 2 days. Why? The question came out whisper soft. Why do you care so much? I'm nobody. Nothing. Just a music therapist who happened to have a criminal for a brother. Leonardo was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, my mother was nobody. Nothing. Just a violinist who happened to fall in love with a monster. His eyes met mine. And my father took everything from her. Her music, her dreams, her choices. By the time I was old enough to understand what he'd done, it was too late to save her. Understanding dawned. I remind you of her. No. His hand cupped my cheek, tilting my face up to meet his gaze. You remind me of what she could have been if someone had protected her. If someone had chosen her safety over everything else. The intensity in his eyes should have frightened me. Instead, it made my heart race for entirely different reasons. Leonardo. Eat something, he said, pulling back and standing abruptly. You haven't eaten since this morning. And tomorrow, we start planning how to get you out of this mess. I thought you said I had to stay here. I said you're under my protection. That doesn't mean I intend to keep you caged forever. He moved toward the door, pausing in the threshold. The music room is yours whenever you want it. Soundproofed, remember? No one will hear if you need to scream. After he left, I sat staring at the closed door, the tea going cold on the tray beside me. This was my life now. Trapped in a beautiful house with a beautiful monster who was trying to save me from other monsters. With a brother who'd rather trade me than rescue me. I should be plotting escape. Should be looking for weaknesses in the security. Should be anything other than what I was. Which was thinking about the gentleness in Leonardo's touch, the vulnerability in his voice when he spoke about his mother, the way he'd built a music room for ghosts. Tomorrow I'd be smart, practical, strategic. Tonight, I was just a woman who'd lost everything and found something she never expected in the wreckage. Chapter 3, A Kiss Sharp as a Blade. I woke to the sound of violin music. For a moment, caught between sleep and waking, I thought I was dreaming. The melody was hauntingly beautiful, something classical I didn't recognize, played with such emotion that it made my chest ache. Then I remembered where I was. I threw on a robe and followed the sound through the quiet house. Dawn was just breaking, painting the windows in shades of rose and gold. The music led me to the music room, where the door stood slightly ajar. Through the gap, I could see Leonardo. He stood with his back to me, the violin tucked under his chin, completely lost in the music. He'd shed his usual armor of expensive suits for simple black pants and a white t-shirt that showed the lines of his body, lean muscle and coiled strength. His eyes were closed, his entire being focused on drawing beauty from strings and wood. I'd never seen anyone play like that. As if the music were being torn from somewhere deep inside him. As if each note cost something precious. When the piece ended, the silence that followed felt sacred. Wrong to break. I must have made some sound because his eyes snapped open, finding me immediately in the doorway. I'm sorry, I said quickly. I didn't mean to intrude. I just heard. It's fine. He lowered the violin, his expression shuddered. The vulnerable man from moments ago vanished, replaced by the careful mask he wore. I couldn't sleep. So you play? I entered the room fully, drawn by curiosity. You said you didn't anymore. I said I did once. I never said I stopped. He set the violin back on its stand with reverence. I just don't let anyone hear it. Why not? You're incredible. Something flickered across his face, pain, maybe, or old shame. Because the moment people know you can create something beautiful, they want to own it. Control it. Use it. He turned to face me. My father used to make me play at his business dinners. Show off his cultured son while he negotiated drug deals and murder contracts. Turned something I loved into a performance for monsters. So you stopped performing? I stopped letting people see me do it. He moved to the piano, running his fingers over the keys without pressing them. Which is just another form of dying, I suppose. Killing the parts of yourself that make you vulnerable. I joined him at the piano, sitting on the bench. Is that why you built this room? To have somewhere to die in private? His laugh was sharp and humorless. You're perceptive. Has anyone ever told you that? My patience. Before your people told them I had a family emergency. I played a few notes, a simple melody. I had a session scheduled yesterday with a little girl. 6 years old, recovering from a house fire that killed her parents. Music's the only thing that helps her process the trauma. Leonardo's expression darkened. I'll arrange for someone else to. That's not the point. I stopped playing, turning to face him. The point is that you've taken my life. My choices. Just like your father did to your mother. And you don't even see the irony. His jaw clenched. It's not the same. Isn't it? You say you're protecting me, but I'm still a prisoner. Still trapped in a cage, even if it's gilded. I stood, anger finally overriding caution. You talk about your father like he was a monster for controlling your mother, but you're doing the exact same thing to me. I'm keeping you alive. By taking away everything that makes my life worth living. The words burst out of me, weeks of suppressed frustration finally finding voice. I don't care how comfortable the cage is, Leonardo. It's still a cage. And I'm still trapped. He closed the distance between us in 2 strides, his presence overwhelming. You think I want this? You think I enjoy having you here, disrupting everything, making me question every decision I make? Then let me go. I can't. The words were torn from him, raw and honest. The moment you leave this property, you're dead. The Castigliones will find you. They'll hurt you in ways that will haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life. And he stopped, jaw working as if physically forcing back the words. You what? His hand came up to cup my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. I can't lose another person I care about to this life. I can't watch them destroy someone else because I wasn't strong enough to protect them. You barely know me. I know enough. His other hand found my waist, pulling me closer. I know you're brave. You played that piano yesterday like you were giving me a gift. I know you're compassionate. You were crying for your patients, not yourself. I know you're stronger than you think, because you're standing here fighting me instead of breaking. Leonardo. And I know, he continued, his voice dropping to something dangerous, that having you here is the best and worst thing that's happened to me in years. Because you make me remember what it feels like to want to protect something. To create instead of destroy. To be more than just my father's son. The air between us crackled with tension. I should push him away. Should remind myself that this was textbook trauma bonding. Should protect my heart from a man who lived in darkness. Instead, I said, I'm not your mother. I don't need you to save me from your father's ghost. I know. His forehead touched mine. But maybe I need to save you anyway. Why? Because if I can save you, maybe I'm not as much of a monster as I think I am. The vulnerability in his voice broke something inside me. Before I could think, before I could talk myself out of it, I closed the distance and kissed him. He froze for a heartbeat, surprise and restraint warring in his stillness. Then he kissed me back with an intensity that stole my breath. His hands tangled in my hair, angling my head to deepen the kiss. Not gentle. Not sweet. This was need and hunger and desperation all tangled together. I'd been kissed before. College boyfriends, a few awkward dates. But this was different. This was being consumed and consuming in equal measure. This was 2 people reaching for each other in the dark and finding something neither expected. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes searched mine. This is a mistake, he said, but his hand stayed in my hair, keeping me close. Probably. You're vulnerable. I'm taking advantage. Are you? I challenged. Or am I making a choice? The first real choice I've had since you brought me here? Something shifted in his expression. Emilia. The door burst open. We sprang apart as Sophia entered, her face grim. Boss, we have a problem. The Castigliones just released a statement. They're offering a $5 million reward for information leading to Emilia's location. The warmth between us evaporated instantly. Leonardo's expression went cold, calculating. Show me. We followed Sophia to the security room where Anton was already pulling up news feeds. And there it was, Vincenzo Castiglione himself on camera, looking every inch the concerned citizen. Emilia Thorne is a missing person, he was saying, his voice heavy with manufactured concern. Taken by criminal elements who wish to use her in their war against our family. We're offering a substantial reward for any information that leads to her safe return. Missing person? I stared at the screen in disbelief. He makes it sound like I'm being held hostage. Because that's exactly the story they're spinning. Leonardo's jaw was tight. They know they can't reach you here through force, so they're turning public opinion against me. Making me the villain. Making you the victim they're trying to save. Which puts pressure on law enforcement, Anton added grimly. FBI's already calling for a statement. Let them call. Leonardo pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. We stick to the original story. Emilia's in protective custody, voluntarily, because she was targeted. Adriana will handle the legal side. That won't be enough, Sophia said. Castiglione's playing this perfectly. He looks like the hero. You look like the kidnapper. And every bounty hunter and wannabe tough guy in the tri-state area is now looking for her. The weight of their words settled over me like a shroud. $5 million. That kind of money would make even loyal people consider betrayal. How many know about this location? I asked quietly. Need to know basis, Anton replied. Maybe 20 people total. All vetted. All loyal. All human. Leonardo's tone was grim. Everyone has a price, and the question is whether 5 million is high enough. Silence fell over the room as we all absorbed the implications. We need to move her, Sophia finally said. Get her somewhere even fewer people know about. No. Leonardo shook his head. Every time we move her, we create vulnerabilities. Routes, transport, handoffs. Any one of those is an opportunity for someone to sell information. So we just sit here and wait for someone to claim the bounty? I tried to keep my voice steady. Leonardo turned to me, his eyes intense. We go on offense. If Castiglione wants to make this public, we'll make it more public. Show the world exactly what kind of man he is. How? Your brother. A cold smile touched Leonardo's lips. He has information about Castiglione's operations. We use it. Leak it to the press. Turn the narrative back around. Daniel won't cooperate, I said, remembering my brother's calculating expression during interrogation. He wants something in exchange. Then we give him what he wants. Or rather, Leonardo's smile sharpened, we make him think we will. You're going to lie to him. I'm going to negotiate. There's a difference. He looked at Sophia. Bring him to the study. Tell him I'm ready to discuss terms. After Sophia left, Anton cleared his throat. Sir, if I may, using the girl as bait. I'm not using her as bait. Leonardo's tone cut like a blade. I'm using her brother's guilt about abandoning her. Completely different. Is it? I echoed his words from earlier. Manipulation is manipulation, whether you call it protection or strategy. His eyes found mine, and for a moment, I saw the man from the music room, vulnerable and yearning. Then the mask snapped back into place. Welcome to my world, Emilia. Nothing here is simple. Nothing here is clean. You survive by being smarter, faster, more ruthless than everyone else. And what happens when being ruthless means becoming exactly what you hate? Then you hope someone's there to pull you back before you go too far. He moved toward the door, pausing to look back at me. Stay here. Watch the interrogation if you want. But don't interfere. After he left, I sank into one of the security room chairs, staring at the monitors showing various angles of the property. Guards patrolling. Cameras sweeping. Sensors monitoring. All this security, all this protection, and I'd never felt more exposed. He cares about you. Anton's voice startled me. I'd forgotten he was still there. He barely knows me. Sometimes that's when it hits hardest. Before you know enough to protect yourself. The older man moved to stand beside me, his eyes on the monitors. I've worked for Leonardo for 15 years. I've seen him with women before, beautiful women, powerful women. He treats them well, enjoys their company, then moves on without a second thought. And your point? My point is I've never seen him look at any of them the way he looks at you. Like you're the first real thing he's encountered in years. Anton's expression was troubled. Which makes you either his salvation or his destruction. I'm not sure which yet. Before I could respond, the monitor showing the study flickered to life. Leonardo entered, followed by Sophia and 2 guards escorting Daniel. I leaned forward, watching. "Thank you for seeing me," Daniel started, but Leonardo cut him off with a raised hand. "Let's skip the pleasantries. You have information I need. I have safety you need. Let's discuss terms." My brother sat forward eagerly. "I want safe passage for me and Em. New identities, money to start over, and your guarantee that neither family comes after us." That's a lot to ask for information I could get from other sources. But not as quickly. Not as completely. Daniel's smile was sharp. "I know where Castiglione keeps his books. The real books. Everything that would put him away for life. Give that to the feds, and your problem disappears." Leonardo was quiet for a long moment. "And you're willing to burn him that completely? Your former employer. He tried to kidnap my sister. Made her collateral damage in your war." For the first time since arriving, Daniel sounded almost genuine. "I might be a thief, but I'm not a monster. Em doesn't deserve any of this." "No," Leonardo agreed. "She doesn't. Which is why I'm curious about something, Daniel." He leaned forward. "If you care so much about your sister's welfare, why did you steal $3 million in a way that would obviously put her at risk?" Daniel's expression flickered. "I didn't think. You didn't think they'd come after your only living relative? You didn't think they'd use her as leverage?" Leonardo's voice was silk over steel. "Or did you just not care because the money was worth the risk?" "That's not, I wouldn't." "You would. You did." Leonardo stood looming over him. "You stole money from men who traffic in violence, then disappeared and left your sister to face the consequences. And now you're here, pretending you came back out of concern instead of desperation." "I came back for her." "You came back because you're out of options. Because hiding alone is harder than you expected. Because $5 million sounds good, and you figured you could trade information for both money and freedom." Leonardo's smile was cold. "Did I miss anything?" Daniel's face went red, then white. "You're wrong." "Am I? Then prove it." Leonardo pulled out a piece of paper and pen, sliding them across the table. "Write down where you hid the money. All of it. I'll return it to both families, negotiate your safety and Emilia's in exchange for the information about Castiglione's books. You get witness protection, she gets her life back, and everyone walks away clean." My brother stared at the paper like it was a snake. "That's what I thought." Leonardo's disgust was palpable. "You never intended to give up the money. This was just another negotiation to you. Another way to play both sides. You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You're a coward who'd rather sacrifice his sister than his stolen fortune." Leonardo moved toward the door. "You'll stay in holding until I decide what to do with you. And Emilia?" He looked directly at the camera, as if he could see me through it. "She's under my protection. Which means she's worth infinitely more than you are." The feed cut off. I sat in stunned silence, processing what I'd just witnessed. Daniel had a choice: protect me or protect his money. And he'd chosen the money. My only family, and he'd chosen the money. The door opened and Leonardo entered, his expression carefully neutral. "I'm sorry you had to see that." "I'm not." I stood, surprised by how steady my voice was. "I needed to see it. Needed to stop making excuses for him." He moved closer, his hand reaching for mine. "For what it's worth, I meant what I said. You're under my protection. No matter what your brother does or doesn't do." "Why?" The question came out broken. "Why protect someone whose family is nothing but trouble?" "Because you're not your family. You're not responsible for your brother's choices." His other hand cupped my face. "And because somewhere along the way, protecting you stopped being about strategy and started being about something else." "What?" Instead of answering, he kissed me. This kiss was different from the first. Slower, deeper, deliberate. Like he was trying to say with his mouth what he couldn't with words. Like I was something precious he'd found in the rubble of his life. When we broke apart, his forehead rested against mine. "This is still a mistake." "Probably a huge one," I agreed. "You should push me away. Tell me to leave you alone. Remember that I'm the man who kidnapped you. I should do a lot of things." I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. But I'm tired of should. Tired of being smart and practical and doing what's expected. For once, I want to make a choice that's completely, stupidly mine. And that choice is? I kissed him again, answering without words. His arms came around me, pulling me flush against him. The kiss deepened, turned hungry. His hands slid under my robe, finding bare skin, making me gasp. Emilia, he breathed against my lips. If we do this, if we cross this line, there's no going back. Good. I tugged at his shirt, needing to feel him, needing to prove this was real. I'm tired of being able to go back. He lifted me, setting me on the desk. The monitors glowed around us, showing the property's defenses, the guards patrolling, the world we were hiding from. But for this moment, none of it mattered. There was only this. Only us. Only the heat building between us like something inevitable. His mouth found my neck, my collarbone, the hollow of my throat. I arched into him, my hands fisting in his hair. Every touch felt electric, charged with weeks of tension and fear and anger and something else, something that felt dangerously close to falling. Then Sophia's voice crackled over the intercom, shattering the moment. Boss, we have incoming. 3 vehicles on the access road. Armed occupants. Leonardo pulled back, his breathing ragged. For a moment, he just looked at me, hair mussed, robe askew, lips swollen from his kisses. Something like regret flickered across his face. Then the soldier replaced the man. How long until they reached the perimeter? 5 minutes. Maybe less. Lock down the house. Get Emilia to the safe room. And someone get me. He stopped, his eyes never leaving mine. Someone get me something to shoot. The moment shattered like glass. Chapter 4. The Sins of Our Fathers. The safe room was even more fortified than the one in Manhattan. Reinforced concrete, air filtration system, enough supplies to last weeks. Sophia had practically carried me here while Leonardo coordinated the defense with Anton's team. Stay here, she'd ordered, pressing a gun into my hands. You know how to use this? No. Point and pull the trigger. Safety's off. Don't shoot unless someone comes through that door who isn't me or the boss. Then she was gone, sealing me in with the emergency lights, casting everything in red. Through the security monitors built into the wall, I watched the 3 vehicles approach. Black SUVs with tinted windows, moving fast but not recklessly. Professional. They stopped at the main gate, and armed men poured out. At least 15, maybe more, all wearing tactical gear. But they didn't immediately attack. Instead, one man approached the intercom. Leonardo's voice crackled through the speakers. This is private property. You're trespassing. Leonardo Ventresi. The man's voice was cultured, almost pleasant. We're here for the girl. Send her out, and we leave peacefully. Who sent you? Does it matter? 5 million is 5 million. Now send out Emilia Thorne, or we come in and take her. On the monitor, I saw Leonardo appear on the main house balcony, rifle in hand. Even through the grainy footage, his presence commanded attention. Here's my counteroffer, he said calmly. You leave now and I let you live. You stay, and I bury you on this property. Your choice. The man laughed. 15 against, what, 10? We did our homework, Ventresi. You're outmanned and outgunned. You did your homework wrong. Leonardo made a subtle gesture, and suddenly the property erupted with activity. Men appeared from concealed positions, in the trees, on rooftops, behind carefully camouflaged barriers. Not 10. At least 30, all armed, all positioned with tactical precision. The laughter died. The approaching men looked at each other, uncertainty replacing bravado. Last chance, Leonardo called down. Take your men and go. Tell whoever hired you that Emilia Thorne is off limits. The Castigliones don't care about you. You're expendable. Cannon fodder sent to test my defenses. Leonardo's voice carried across the distance, cold and absolute. They knew you'd fail. They sent you anyway. So ask yourself, is $5 million worth dying for money you'll never collect? A long pause. Then the leader gestured to his men, and they began backing toward their vehicles. Smart choice, Leonardo said. They were almost to their SUVs when the first shot rang out. Not from Leonardo's men. From the attackers. Then chaos erupted. Gunfire exploded from both sides, the sound deafening even through the monitors. I watched men dive for cover, watched muzzle flashes light up the dusk, watched the choreographed violence of people who knew how to kill. Leonardo was in the center of it, moving with lethal grace. He fired with precision, dropped behind cover, emerged somewhere else. Not the businessman I'd seen in suits. Not even the vulnerable man from the music room. This was the monster he kept carefully controlled. Efficient, ruthless, terrifying. One of the attackers broke through the perimeter, heading for the house. Sophia intercepted him, and what followed was brutal. She moved like violence incarnate, disarming him in seconds, leaving him unconscious on the ground. The fight lasted maybe 3 minutes. It felt like hours. When the gunfire finally stopped, 5 of the attackers were down. The rest were fleeing in the remaining SUVs, tires squealing as they raced away. Leonardo's voice came through the intercom in the safe room. "Emilia, it's over. You can come out." I set down the gun with shaking hands and entered the code Sophia had given me. The door unsealed with a hiss. The house was in chaos, guards checking for wounded, sweeping for additional threats, securing the perimeter. I picked my way through to the main entrance where Leonardo stood with Anton, discussing something in low tones. He looked up as I approached, and something in his expression shifted. Relief. Concern. Something else I couldn't name. "Are you hurt?" His hands found my shoulders, his eyes scanning me for injuries. "No. I'm fine. But your men? 2 wounded. Minor injuries. They'll be fine." He pulled me against him briefly, his heart pounding beneath my ear. Then he released me, stepping back into professional distance. "And get medical here for our guys. And find out who sent those mercenaries. I want names." "Already on it, sir." Leonardo turned back to me. "We need to talk. My office." I followed him through the house to a room I hadn't seen before, clearly his private domain. Dark wood, leather furniture, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A desk that looked like it had witnessed decades of family business. He poured himself a drink, downed it, then poured another. "Want one?" "No." I sank into one of the chairs. "I want answers. Who were those men?" "Mercenaries. Private military contractors." He moved to the window, staring out at the property where his men were cleaning up the aftermath. "Someone hired them to test our defenses. To see how hard it would be to get to you. The Castigliones? Maybe. Or someone else who wants that 5 million. He turned back to me, his expression troubled. "But there's something off about this. Professional contractors don't take bounty jobs. The risk-to-reward ratio is wrong. Which means someone paid them more than 5 million to attack us." The implications settled over me like ice water. Someone wants me dead more than they want me captured. Or they want to force me into making a mistake. Spread my resources thin. Make me vulnerable. Leonardo downed his second drink. "Either way, staying here is no longer tenable. We've been compromised. You said moving creates vulnerabilities. Staying creates more." He set down his glass with a sharp click. "I have another property. Even more isolated. Only 5 people know about it, and 3 of them are in this house right now. And the other 2? Dead." His expression was grim. "So we can trust them to keep the secret." Despite everything, I almost laughed. That's morbid. That's practical. He moved to sit across from me, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. "Emilia, I need to tell you something. Something that changes everything." The seriousness in his tone made my stomach drop. "What?" He was quiet for a long moment, clearly weighing his words. "I've been investigating your family. Going deeper than just Daniel's recent activities. Looking into your mother, your father, your entire history. Why? Because something about this situation felt wrong from the beginning. The Castigliones don't go after family members. It's inefficient, messy, creates too much attention. They have rules." His eyes met mine. "But they broke those rules for you. And I needed to know why." "And?" My voice was barely a whisper. Leonardo stood, moving to his desk and pulling out a folder. He handed it to me without a word. Inside were documents. Old documents. Birth certificates, marriage licenses, photographs I'd never seen before. And at the center, a photo that made my blood run cold. My mother. Young, beautiful, laughing at the camera. And beside her, his arm around her waist, was a man I recognized from news footage and crime documentaries. Antonio Ventresi. Leonardo's father. No. The word came out strangled. That's not, this can't be. Your mother and my father were lovers. Leonardo's voice was gentle but unwavering. 26 years ago, before he married my mother. Before you were born. I stared at the photograph, my mind refusing to process what I was seeing. My father, my real father, he left when I was 12. He was a construction worker. He had nothing to do with. Peter Thorne was a good man who married your mother knowing she was pregnant with another man's child. He raised you as his own. Loved you as his own. Leonardo knelt in front of me, taking my hands. But biologically, Emilia, Antonio Ventresi was your father. The room spun. You're lying. This is some kind of manipulation. I have DNA evidence. Medical records. Witnesses. His grip tightened on my hands. I'm sorry. I know this is... We're related. The words came out hollow. You and I, we're half-siblings. He said it plainly, matter-of-factly. Which means every time I've touched you, every time I've thought about... He stopped, his jaw clenching. It means this situation is even more complicated than I thought. I pulled my hands from his, standing on shaking legs. Does Daniel know? I don't think so. Your mother kept the secret even from her children. Leonardo stood as well, maintaining careful distance now. But the Castigliones know. Or at least they suspect. That's why they're so focused on you. I don't understand. When my father died 3 years ago, he left behind a will. A real will, not the public document. In it, he acknowledged your mother and made provisions for any children she might have had. Leonardo moved back to the window, his posture rigid. Half of his fortune. Half of his empire. All contingent on proving biological relationship. The enormity of it crashed over me. How much? Roughly $2 billion. I sat down hard. That's insane. That's the Ventresi fortune. Built over 3 generations. His reflection in the window was troubled. My mother contested the will, of course. She kept it tied up in probate, kept it secret. But somehow, the Castigliones found out. And they realized that if you came forward with a claim, if you could prove your relationship to my father, it would destabilize everything. So they wanted to kill me before I could make a claim I didn't even know existed. Yes. He turned back to face me. And I wanted to protect you for reasons I didn't fully understand until now. Because on some level, maybe I sensed the connection. Sensed that protecting you was protecting what remained of my father's conscience. I laughed bitterly. Your father had a conscience? The man who built an empire on blood and fear. He loved your mother. Leonardo's voice was soft. I found letters. Dozens of them, hidden in his private safe. He wrote to her for years after they separated. Begged her to come back to him. Promised to leave everything for her. But she didn't. No. She married Peter Thorne and built a normal life. Raised her children away from this world. He moved closer, stopping just short of touching me. She escaped. That's what I need you to understand, Emilia. Your mother got out. She chose love and normalcy over money and power. And his voice broke slightly. I need to honor that choice. Need to help you get out too. By telling me I'm heir to billions of dollars? By giving you a choice your mother never had. He reached into his desk and pulled out a document. This is a legal waiver. You sign it, you give up all claim to the Ventresi fortune. In exchange, I pay off the Castigliones, negotiate your complete safety, and set you up with enough money to live comfortably wherever you want. I stared at the document. And if I don't sign? Then we fight. We prove your claim. We split the fortune and the empire. His eyes held mine. And you become part of this world permanently. No escape. No normal life. Just blood and violence and moral compromise until the day you die. That's not a choice. That's an ultimatum. It's the only choice I can give you. He set the document on the desk between us. Sign it, and you're free. Don't sign it, and you're trapped here forever. With me. As family. The last word hung in the air between us, weighted with everything it meant. The kisses we'd shared. The attraction building between us. The impossibility of any future together now. I need time, I whispered. I know. But time is the one thing we don't have. He pulled out his phone, showing me a news alert. Vincenzo Castiglione just called a press conference. He's going to reveal your connection to my father. Make it public. Once that happens, you'll never be safe again. Every fortune hunter, every crime family, every desperate person in the world will be coming for you. When is the press conference? Tomorrow at noon. I looked at the waiver. At Leonardo. At the photograph of my mother, young and smiling, standing beside the man who would unknowingly define my entire life. If I sign this, I said slowly, what happens to you? I continue running the family business. I continue being what I was raised to be. His expression was carefully neutral. Nothing changes. And us. There is no us, Emilia. There can't be. But his eyes told a different story. Sign the papers. Take the money. Build the life your mother wanted for you. That's what matters. I picked up the document, scanning the legal language. It was straightforward. A complete waiver of all claims to the Ventresi estate in exchange for a lump sum payment of $10 million and guaranteed protection. $10 million. More money than I could spend in a lifetime. Freedom. Everything my mother had wanted for me. I set down the document and signed. No. Leonardo's expression flickered. Emilia. I said no. I stood, facing him fully. I won't sign away my rights because you and the Castigliones and everyone else in this world think you can buy and sell people like commodities. My mother didn't escape this life, Leonardo. She ran from it. And running isn't the same as being free. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to fight. I want to claim what's mine. Not because I care about the money or the power, but because I'm tired of letting other people make decisions about my life. I moved closer to him. You asked me what choice I was making. This is my choice. I fight. Something fierce and proud flashed in his eyes. Do you understand what that means? What you're signing up for? I understand that my mother spent her whole life running from your father's world. And where did it get her? She died young, poor, scared her entire life that the past would catch up to her. I held his gaze. I won't live like that. I won't let fear control me. You'll have to testify. Provide DNA evidence. Face the Castigliones in court and in the streets. His hand came up to cup my face despite himself. They'll try to kill you. Every day. Every moment. For the rest of your life. Then I guess you'll have to keep protecting me. As your brother. The word was bitter on his tongue. As family. As whatever we need to be to survive this. I leaned into his touch, knowing it might be the last time. But I won't run, Leonardo. I won't sign that paper and pretend none of this happened. I owe my mother more than that. He pulled me against him, his arms tight around me. You're either very brave or very foolish. Can't I be both? His laugh was rough against my hair. God help me, but I think you might be perfect. We stood there for a long moment, holding each other, both knowing that everything had changed. The attraction between us, that spark that had been building since he'd first pulled me into his world, was now forbidden. Impossible. But standing in his arms, I couldn't bring myself to regret the choice. A knock at the door broke the moment. Sophia entered, her expression grim. Boss, you need to see this. Leonardo released me, stepping back into professional distance. What is it? Daniel. He's asking to speak with Emilia. Says he has information about her mother. Sophia's eyes flicked between us. Says it's urgent. Leonardo's jaw tightened. Bring him up. But he stays cuffed. And Sophia, you don't leave the room. After she left, Leonardo turned back to me. Whatever he says, remember that your brother is a liar and a manipulator. Don't let him convince you to sign that waiver. I won't. Good. He moved toward the door, pausing in the threshold. And Emilia? For what it's worth, I'm glad you're choosing to fight. It suits you. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with the photograph of my mother and the man whose blood ran in my veins. The father I'd never known. The legacy I'd never wanted. And the choice I just made that would change everything. Chapter 5. The Woman Who Won't Break. Daniel looked worse than when I'd seen him last. The 2 days in holding had stripped away his bravado, leaving behind something raw and desperate. He sat in Leonardo's study, hands cuffed in front of him, flanked by Sophia and another guard. When I entered, his eyes found mine with an intensity that made me pause. His voice cracked. Thank God. I was afraid he wouldn't let me see you. You have 5 minutes. Leonardo stood by the window, arms crossed. Say what you need to say. Daniel's eyes never left mine. I know about Mom. About Antonio Ventresi. About everything. The words hit like a physical blow. How long have you known? Since she died. I found letters in her things. Letters from him. Daniel leaned forward as much as his restraints allowed. That's why I stole the money. It was supposed to be ours anyway. Compensation for what he took from her. From us. That's not, I shook my head. That money was from the Castigliones. Laundered through Ventresi accounts. Money that should have gone to us when Antonio died, but his wife and his legitimate son kept it all. The bitterness in his voice was palpable. I was just taking back what we were owed. By starting a war that almost got me killed? Anger surged through me. By stealing and running and leaving me to face the consequences? I didn't know they'd come after you. I thought. He stopped, swallowed hard. I thought they'd come after me. That you'd be safe because you didn't know anything. Congratulations on being spectacularly wrong. Leonardo's voice cut through the tension. You said you had information about her mother. I assume it's more than just confirming what we already know. Daniel's eyes flicked to him, something like hatred burning there. You think you know everything, don't you? The great Leonardo Ventresi, always 10 steps ahead. Get to the point. The point is that your father didn't just love our mother. He promised to leave the family for her. To take us, all of us, and disappear. Daniel looked back at me. That's what the letters said. He was planning to walk away from everything. The business, the violence, all of it. For her. I sank into a chair, my legs suddenly weak. What happened? Your mother happened. Leonardo's voice was quiet. I found the final letter. The one Antonio never sent. He wrote it the day he learned she'd married Peter Thorne. The day he learned she was pregnant with you. He thought, I couldn't finish the sentence. He thought you were Peter's child. That she'd chosen a normal life over him. Leonardo moved closer, his expression unreadable. By the time he learned the truth, that you were his, it was too late. Your mother refused to see him. Refused to let him into your life. She'd made her choice. She chose us, I whispered. She chose to keep us away from this world. And your brother spit on that choice by dragging you into it anyway. The contempt in Leonardo's voice was withering. Congratulations, Daniel. You did exactly what your mother spent her entire life trying to prevent. Daniel's face flushed. I was trying to claim what was ours. By stealing and lying and putting your sister in mortal danger. Very noble. Leonardo turned his back on him, addressing me instead. Is there anything else you need from him, or can we put him back in holding? Wait. Daniel strained against his restraints. Listen to me. Don't trust him. He's not protecting you out of the goodness of his heart. He's protecting his inheritance. If you die, he gets everything. If you live and fight for your share, he loses half his fortune. I'm aware of the mathematics, I said coldly. Are you aware that he could solve all his problems by just letting the Castigliones take you? That the only reason you're alive is because you're worth more to him as leverage than as a corpse? The accusation hung in the air. I looked at Leonardo, waiting for denial, for anger, for something. Instead, he said calmly, he's not wrong. The admission shocked Daniel into silence. Even Sophia looked surprised. When I first learned about Emilia, Leonardo continued, his eyes holding mine, my initial thought was exactly what your brother suggested. She's a threat. An inconvenience. A loose end that needs tying up. He paused. And yes, the easiest solution would have been to let the Castigliones handle it. Problem solved, inheritance secured. Leonardo, I started, but he held up a hand. But then I met her, talked to her, watched her refuse to break under pressure that would have shattered most people. His voice softened, and I realized that protecting her wasn't about money or inheritance or strategy. It was about doing what my father should have done 30 years ago, choosing someone over the empire. How touching, Daniel sneered. The monster discovers he has a heart. I never claimed to have a heart, Leonardo replied. But I have something your mother clearly valued more than my father's empire, a conscience. And that conscience won't let me sacrifice an innocent woman to protect my fortune. I stood, moving to where Daniel sat. You came here to turn me against Leonardo. To make me doubt him so I'd run. Is that right? Daniel's silence was answer enough. You don't care about protecting me. You care about getting the money. I leaned down, making sure he could see my face clearly. You want me to claim the inheritance so you can convince me to share it with you. That's what this has always been about. That's not. Don't. The word came out sharp. Don't lie to me anymore. I'm done making excuses for you. Done pretending you're the brother I remember instead of the stranger you've become. His expression hardened. Fine. You want the truth? Yes, I want the money. I earned it. I'm the one who figured out the connection, who researched Antonio's will, who found the leverage. You're just the lucky accident who happens to carry his DNA. The words should have hurt more than they did. But I'd already grieved for my brother, for the person he used to be before greed consumed him. Then we have nothing more to discuss. I turned to Sophia. Take him back to holding. Wait. Daniel struggled against the guards pulling him to his feet. Please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. I met his eyes. And that's why we're done. You chose money over family. So live with that choice. As they dragged him from the room, still protesting, still making promises he'd never keep, I felt something break inside me. Not my heart, that had already broken, but some last thread of connection to the person I used to be. The woman who'd woken up in Leonardo's penthouse barely a week ago would have forgiven Daniel, would have made excuses, would have chosen family over everything else. But that woman was gone. The silence after Daniel left was heavy. Leonardo poured 2 drinks, handing me one without asking. You handled that well, he said. I feel like I just buried my brother. In a way, you did. The brother you knew died the moment he decided money was worth more than your life. Leonardo sipped his drink. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Are you? I looked at him. Because he was right, wasn't he? I am a threat to your inheritance. If I claim my share, you lose billions. Yes. And yet you're still helping me. Yes. Why? I moved closer to him. And don't give me something noble about conscience or doing what your father should have done. Tell me the real reason. Leonardo was quiet for a long moment, his jaw working. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. Because for the first time in my life, something matters more than the empire. More than the money. More than the legacy. What? You. The word fell between us like a stone. You matter more. And I don't know what to do with that. My breath caught. Leonardo. I know what we are to each other now. I know what's forbidden. What's impossible. His hand came up to cup my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. But knowing doesn't make it stop. Doesn't make me stop wanting. He cut himself off, stepping back, physically forcing distance between us. This is why I offered you the waiver. Why I'm offering you freedom. His back was to me now, his posture rigid. Because staying here, being near you, knowing I can't? He laughed bitterly. My father had one decent impulse in his entire life. He loved your mother. And I inherited that impulse. Lucky me. I moved to stand behind him, Close enough to feel his heat but not touching. What if the connection we feel isn't about your father and my mother? What if it's just us? It doesn't matter. His voice was flat. We shared in it. That makes everything between us wrong. Forbidden. I know. I pressed my forehead against his back, just for a moment. But thank you for saying it anyway. We stood like that, not touching but connected, both mourning something that never got the chance to exist. Then Leonardo straightened, putting on his armor of control. Sophia will train you, he said, all business now. If you're going to fight for your inheritance, you need to be able to protect yourself. Combat training, weapons, situational awareness. Everything. When do we start? Tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. He moved toward the door. Get some rest tonight. Sophia doesn't believe in gentle instruction. He was almost gone when I called after him. Leonardo. He paused in the doorway. Thank you. For choosing me over the Empire. His shoulders tensed. Don't thank me yet. You haven't seen what it costs. Sophia woke me at 5:30 with zero sympathy for my grogginess. Now. I thought you said 6. I lied. Enemies won't wait for you to be fully awake either. The gym was in the basement, a vast space filled with equipment that looked more like medieval torture devices than fitness machines. Sophia was already in workout clothes, looking disgustingly alert. We're going to start with the basics, she said, tossing me a pair of boxing gloves. How to throw a punch without breaking your hand. How to take a hit without going down. How to turn fear into fuel. That's a lot for one morning. You think the Castigliones are going to give you a training montage before they come for you? She pulled on her own gloves. Hit me. What? You heard me. Hit me. Right here. She tapped her jaw. As hard as you can. I hesitated, then threw what I thought was a decent punch. Sophia barely moved. That was pathetic. Again. An hour later, I'd learned exactly how pathetic my punch was. Sophia had corrected my stance, my rotation, my follow-through. She'd made me hit the heavy bag until my arms screamed. She'd demonstrated holds and escapes and dirty tricks that had nothing to do with honor and everything to do with survival. Better, she finally said as I collapsed on the mat, sweating and shaking. Not good. But better. I think I'm dying. You're not. But if we'd started this yesterday, those mercenaries might have killed you. She tossed me a water bottle. 5-minute break. Then we work on weapons. There's more. There's always more. She sat beside me, her expression serious. You need to understand something, Emilia. Fighting for your inheritance isn't just a legal battle. It's literal warfare. The Castigliones won't stop. Every fortune hunter in the world will target you. And even some of Leonardo's own people will see you as a threat. I know. Do you? Because knowing intellectually and understanding in your bones are different things. She leaned back against the wall. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've protected diplomats, witnesses, heiresses. And you know what kills them? Not the bullets or the bombs. It's the moment they realize they can never go back to normal. That every friend is a potential threat. Every stranger a possible assassin. That they'll never again know what it feels like to be safe. You're trying to scare me into signing the waiver. I'm trying to make sure you understand what you're choosing. Her eyes were kind but uncompromising. Because once you make your claim public, there's no taking it back. You become a target forever. Leonardo told you to talk me out of this, didn't he? Sophia smiled slightly. He told me to be honest with you. That you deserve to make your choice with full information. And your honest opinion? She considered for a moment. I think you're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Maybe both. But I also think you're the first person in years who's made Leonardo remember he's human. She stood, offering me a hand up. So whatever you choose, I'll help keep you alive to live with the consequences. The weapons training was even more intense than the hand-to-hand combat. Sophia taught me to field strip a pistol, to shoot with both eyes open, to compensate for recoil. She drilled me on safety protocols until they were muscle memory. You're a natural, she said after I'd put 3 shots in the center mass of the target. Good instincts. Steady hands. Is that what it takes to survive your world? Being good at killing? No. She reloaded the pistol, showing me the mechanics. It takes being willing to do what's necessary. Killing is just one tool. Sometimes the best weapon is information, or money, or knowing when to run. And you? What's your weapon? Loyalty. She handed back the pistol. I choose someone worth protecting and I don't stop until they're safe or I'm dead. Simple as that. And Leonardo's worth protecting? Her expression softened. He is. More than he knows. She checked her watch. 1 more hour, then you're done for today. Let's work on tactical awareness. By noon, every muscle in my body ached. I stumbled upstairs to shower, barely able to lift my arms. But underneath the physical exhaustion, I felt something else. Power. Capability. The beginning of confidence. I wasn't helpless anymore. Wasn't just a victim waiting to be saved. After the shower, I found Leonardo in the music room. He sat at the piano, not playing, just staring at the keys. Sophia says I'm a natural, I announced from the doorway. He looked up, a small smile touching his lips. She said you're teachable. There's a difference. I hit the target 3 times. You hit a stationary target in a controlled environment with no pressure and excellent lighting. But his smile widened. But yes, 3 times is impressive for a first session. I moved to sit beside him on the piano bench, maintaining careful distance. Play something. I don't. You do. I've heard you. And I need. I struggled to find the words. I need to hear something beautiful after everything today. After learning to shoot and fight and hurt people. Leonardo's hands moved to the keys, hesitating. Then he began to play. It was Rachmaninoff, Prelude in C-sharp minor. Dark and haunting, filled with thunderous bass notes and cascading melodies. Music that spoke of storms and passion and beauty born from darkness. I closed my eyes, letting it wash over me. Letting myself feel the emotion pouring from his fingers, the vulnerability he'd never show any other way. When the final notes faded, I opened my eyes to find him watching me. That was beautiful, I whispered. That was darkness. His voice was rough. That's what lives inside me. What I am beneath the control. Then maybe darkness can be beautiful too. His hand moved before he could stop it, tucking a strand of damp hair behind my ear. The touch lingered, his fingers tracing the curve of my jaw. Emilia. I know. I leaned into his touch despite myself. I know what we are. What we can't be. But just for a moment, can we pretend? Pretend what? That we're just 2 people who found each other in the dark. That nothing else matters. His forehead touched mine, both of us breathing the same air, existing in a moment stolen from impossible circumstance. I don't know how to want something I can't have, he said quietly. I've spent my entire life taking what I want, controlling everything around me. And now the one thing I want most. I know. We sat like that, not kissing, not crossing that final line, but connected in a way that felt more intimate than any physical touch. 2 people mourning something that never got the chance to exist. Finally, Leonardo pulled back. You should eat something. Tomorrow we go public with your claim. What happens then? War. His smile was grim. But the kind fought in courtrooms and boardrooms instead of with bullets. Mostly. The Castigliones don't know the meaning of legal battle. They'll try other methods. He stood, putting distance between us again. Which is why Sophia's training you. Why Anton's tripling security. Why I'm moving you to an even more secure location after tomorrow. Another safe house? The most secure place I know. His expression was unreadable. My family's estate in Sicily. If you're going to claim your birthright, you need to do it from the heart of Ventresi territory. Where everyone can see that I'm supporting your claim. Won't that make you look weak? Supporting someone who'll take half your fortune? It'll make me look like a man who honors his father's wishes. Who values family over money. His smile turned cold. And it'll make the Castigliones think twice before attacking. Because hurting you means going to war with the Ventresi family. Not just me. All of us. The weight of what he was offering, what he was risking, settled over me. Why would your family support me? I'm a threat to them too. Because I'm asking them to. And because, he paused at the door, your family, Emilia. Blood. That means something to us. Even when it's inconvenient. After he left, I sat at the piano, pressing keys without making sound. Family. Blood. Words that should mean safety and belonging but instead meant complication and impossibility. I thought about my mother, choosing love over empire, choosing normal over power. And I thought about me choosing the opposite, choosing to fight for what was mine, even knowing what it would cost. The difference was she'd been running toward something, toward love, toward freedom. I was running toward nothing, just standing my ground and refusing to be moved. Maybe that was its own kind of courage. Or maybe it was just stubbornness masquerading as strength. Either way, tomorrow everything would change. Tomorrow I'd step into the light and claim my father's legacy. And tomorrow, Leonardo would stand beside me as family. Just family. Nothing more. Even if it killed us both to pretend. Chapter 6. The Traitor. The press conference was scheduled for 2 p.m. at the Ventresi corporate headquarters in Manhattan. We'd left the safe house before dawn, a convoy of 3 armored SUVs making the drive with military precision. I sat beside Leonardo in the middle vehicle, dressed in a suit Sophia had selected, dark gray, professional, powerful. The kind of outfit that said I belonged in boardrooms and courtrooms, not dive bars and hospital corridors. You don't have to do this, Leonardo said for the 10th time. Even now, you could sign the waiver. Disappear. Be free. We've been over this. I know. But once you walk into that building, once you make the claim public, there's no going back. I know. I looked at him. Are you trying to protect me or protect your inheritance? Both. His honesty was startling. I'd be lying if I said losing half the fortune doesn't matter. It does. But keeping you alive matters more. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. What is it? Castiglione moved his press conference up. He's speaking right now. Leonardo turned on the tablet mounted in the seat, pulling up a live news feed. Vincenzo Castiglione stood at a podium, looking every inch the grieving patriarch. Behind him, enlarged photos of my mother, young, beautiful, smiling. Tragic story of a woman caught between 2 crime families, he was saying. Isabella Thorne, formerly Isabella Martinez, was victimized by Antonio Ventresi 30 years ago. Seduced, impregnated, and abandoned when he chose his criminal empire over love. That's not, I started, but Leonardo held up a hand. Let him finish. We need to hear what he's claiming. Castiglione continued, his voice heavy with manufactured sympathy. Antonio's illegitimate daughter, Emilia Thorne, is now being held captive by his son, Leonardo Ventresi, held against her will while he forces her to sign away her inheritance rights. This is kidnapping. This is coercion. And we're calling on the FBI to intervene immediately. The screen showed FBI logos, legal documents, photos of me, old photos from my hospital ID, my driver's license, images I'd never authorized anyone to use. He's spinning this completely backward, I said, fury rising in my chest. Making you look like the kidnapper? Which is what I am, technically. Leonardo's voice was grim. Everything he's saying is true enough to be dangerous. I did take you. I am keeping you at an undisclosed location. And I do have a massive financial interest in you signing the waiver. But I'm choosing to fight. Choosing to claim the inheritance. Which is what we're about to prove. He closed the tablet as we pulled up to the Ventresi building, a gleaming tower of glass and steel that dominated the Manhattan skyline. Ready? I looked at the crowd already gathering outside. News vans, cameras, protesters with signs. Some supported me, justice for Emilia. Others supported the Castigliones, free the hostage. No, I admitted. But let's do it anyway. Leonardo's smile was brief but genuine. That's my girl, The words hung between us. Too intimate, too possessive, too right. He cleared his throat. That's the spirit, he corrected. Let's go. Sophia and Anton flanked us as we exited the SUV, their hands near their weapons, their eyes constantly scanning. The crowd pressed closer, shouting questions, accusations, pleas. Emilia, are you being held against your will? Leonardo, did you kidnap her? Is it true you're siblings? We pushed through to the building entrance, into the marble lobby where security held back the crowd. An elevator whisked us to the top floor, where the Ventresi legal team waited. Adriana Vega stood at the head of the conference table, immaculate as always in a power suit that probably cost more than my car used to. We're ready when you are. I've prepared a statement, but Emilia, you'll need to speak as well. In your own words. Let them see you're here voluntarily. What if they don't believe me? Then we show them proof. She slid a document across the table. This is an affidavit, signed by you, witnessed by a federal notary, stating you're here of your own free will, that you're choosing to make this claim, and that Leonardo Ventresi is supporting, not coercing, your decision. I read through it quickly, then signed. The notary, a stern woman with sharp eyes, verified my signature and added her seal. Now, Adriana said, let's destroy Vincenzo Castiglione's narrative. The press conference room was packed. Every major news outlet, every business reporter, every crime journalist who could get credentials. They fell silent as we entered, Leonardo first, then me, then Adriana and the legal team. Leonardo approached the microphone with the confidence of someone who'd faced down worse than cameras. Thank you for coming. I'll keep this brief. His voice carried authority, command. Recent allegations have been made about Emilia Thorne and her relationship to my family. I'm here to confirm those allegations are partially true and to correct the parts that are dangerous lies. He gestured for me to join him at the podium. I moved forward on shaking legs, hyper-aware of every camera, every eye, every judgment being passed. Emilia Thorne is my half-sister, Leonardo continued. Daughter of Antonio Ventresi and Isabella Martinez Thorne. This is a matter of public record now, confirmed by DNA evidence that will be made available to the courts. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Leonardo raised a hand for silence. What is not true, what is a deliberate and malicious lie, is that she is being held against her will. Emilia, would you like to address that directly? He stepped back, giving me the podium. My mouth went dry. I'd played piano for audiences, led therapy sessions, given presentations. But this was different. This was the world watching, judging, deciding if I was victim or opportunist. My name is Emilia Thorne, I began, my voice steadier than I felt. A week ago, I was a music therapist at St. Catherine's Hospital. I had a small apartment, student loans, and no idea my biological father was Antonio Ventresi. I paused, letting that sink in. The Castigliones targeted me because of that connection. They drugged me. They planned to kidnap me. They would have tortured me for information I don't have about my brother's whereabouts. Leonardo Ventresi saved my life. He offered me protection. And yes, he offered me money to walk away from my father's legacy. Another pause. The room was dead silent now. But I'm not walking away. I'm claiming what's mine. Not because I care about money, I don't. But because my mother spent her whole life running from this world, and I'm tired of running. I'm tired of letting powerful men make decisions about my life. So I'm making my own decision. I'm fighting for my inheritance. And Leonardo Ventresi is supporting that fight. Why? Someone shouted from the crowd. Why would he support you taking half his fortune? I looked at Leonardo, who gave a slight nod. Because he's honoring our father's wishes. Because family means something to the Ventresis, even when it's inconvenient. And because I met the cameras directly, I'm not a victim. I'm not a pawn. I'm Antonio Ventresi's daughter. And I'm done being treated like I'm anything less. The room erupted with questions, but Adriana stepped forward, taking control. We'll be filing the inheritance claim with the probate court tomorrow morning. We have DNA evidence, witness testimony, and documentation proving Emilia's relationship to Antonio Ventresi. Any further questions should be directed to our legal team. We moved to leave, but a voice cut through the chaos. What about your brother? Daniel Thorne wanted for theft and fraud? Is he involved in this claim? I stopped, turning back. My brother made his own choices. Bad choices. But this isn't about him. This is about me claiming what my father wanted me to have. And the Castigliones? They say you're starting a war. The Castigliones started this war when they tried to kill me for my father's sins. My voice was hard now. I'm just refusing to die quietly. Leonardo's hand found the small of my back, support, not control. Together, we left the conference room and headed for the elevator. That was perfect, Adriana said as the doors closed. You came across as strong, sympathetic, and completely in control. Castiglione's narrative is dead. For now, Leonardo added grimly. But he's not going to just accept this. He'll pivot, find another angle. Let him try. Adriana's smile was sharp. We have the law on our side. And the truth. The elevator descended toward the parking garage. We were almost there when it lurched to a stop between floors. Emergency lights flickered on. An alarm blared once, then cut off. What? I started. Sophia already had her gun out. Someone's hacked the elevator system. Can you override it? Leonardo's voice was calm, but his hand had moved to his own weapon. Working on it. Sophia pried open the control panel, fingers flying over the wires. Give me 30 seconds. We might not have 30 seconds. Anton spoke into his radio. Security, report. What's happening? Static. Then a voice, panicked. Sir, we have armed intruders in the building. Multiple entry points. They're heading for... Gunfire erupted, cutting off the transmission. Castiglione. I whispered. Or someone else after the bounty. Leonardo positioned himself in front of me. Sophia, how long? Almost, got it. The elevator lurched, then began descending again. But instead of going to the parking garage, it was moving up. That's not me, Sophia said. Someone else has control. The elevator stopped at the 15th floor. The doors opened. 6 men stood waiting, all armed, all wearing tactical gear. But no identifying marks, no family insignias. Just professional killers. Emilia Thorne, the lead man said, his weapon trained on Leonardo. You're coming with us. Anyone who tries to stop us dies. Time seemed to slow. I saw Sophia's finger tightening on her trigger. Saw Anton calculating angles. Saw Leonardo's body tensing, ready to throw himself between me and the bullets. And I made a choice. No one dies. I stepped forward, around Leonardo's protective stance. I'll go with you. Just let them leave safely. Emilia, Leonardo's hand caught my arm. It's me they want. I met his eyes, trying to convey everything I couldn't say. Trust me. Let me go. I'll survive this. Let me go, Leonardo. For a heartbeat, I thought he'd refuse. Thought he'd start shooting and damn the consequences. But then something shifted in his expression, understanding, maybe, or respect. He released my arm. Smart choice, the lead man said. Now, nice and easy, Miss Thorne. Walk toward us. Slow. I moved forward, my heart hammering so loud I was certain everyone could hear it. Sophia's training echoed in my mind. Look for weaknesses, watch for opportunities, stay calm. I was 3 steps from the armed men when it happened. The building's fire suppression system activated. Sprinklers erupted from the ceiling, drowning the hallway in water. Smoke began pouring from vents. In the chaos and confusion, Leonardo moved. He was on the closest gunman in a heartbeat, disarming him with brutal efficiency. Sophia took down 2 more. Anton had the lead man on the ground before he could react. The firefight lasted seconds. When it ended, all 6 men were disabled or dead, and we were soaked, breathing hard, covered in water and blood. The fire alarm, I gasped. How? I triggered it. Adriana stood in the stairwell doorway, holding a fire alarm pull station. Her immaculate suit was ruined, but her expression was satisfied. Old-fashioned solutions are sometimes the best. Leonardo pulled me against him, checking for injuries with shaking hands. Are you hurt? Did they? I'm fine. I'm fine. But I was trembling, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. We need to move. Now. Sophia was already heading for the stairs. More could be coming. We ran. Down 15 flights of stairs, through the chaos of evacuating office workers, into the parking garage where our SUVs waited. The drivers had them running, doors open, ready for immediate departure. As we sped away from the building, sirens wailing in the distance, I looked back at the Ventresi Tower. Smoke poured from several floors now. Emergency vehicles converged from every direction. Did we just, I couldn't finish the sentence, start a war? Leonardo finished grimly. Yes. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. Who are they? Castiglione's men? No insignia. No colors. Professional contractors. He was already on his phone, calling someone. Which means someone with serious money just tried to take you. Someone who wants you more than they fear either family. The 5 million bounty wouldn't be enough to pay for operators that skilled. Someone offered more. A lot more. Leonardo's expression was dark. Which means someone else has entered this game. Someone we didn't account for. Sophia turned from the front seat. Could be the Bratva. Or the Yakuza. Anyone who wants a foothold in Ventresi territory could use you as leverage. Or, Anton added grimly, it could be internal. Someone in your own family, boss. Someone who sees Emilia as a threat and wants to eliminate her before she can claim anything. The implication hung in the air. Leonardo had family in Sicily. Cousins, uncles, distant relatives who all benefited from the Ventresi fortune. Any one of them might prefer me dead. We find out who, Leonardo said, his voice deadly calm. And then we make an example that ensures no one else tries. We drove in silence for a while, leaving Manhattan behind, heading north toward a private airfield. The Sicily estate, Leonardo had said. The heart of Ventresi territory. The place I'd be safest. Or the place I'd be walking into a nest of vipers. Leonardo, I said quietly, what if your family in Sicily doesn't want me there? What if they're the ones who hired those contractors? He was quiet for a long moment. Then we'll know very quickly. Because family or not, anyone who tries to hurt you answers to me. The possessiveness in his tone should have frightened me. Instead, it was the only thing keeping me calm. As we pulled into the private airfield, a sleek jet waiting on the tarmac, I looked at the man beside me. The man who was my brother. My protector. The person I couldn't have but couldn't stop wanting. Whatever happens in Sicily, I said, thank you. For choosing me. Leonardo's hand found mine, squeezing once. Always. It was a promise he couldn't keep. A future that didn't exist. But for the moment, sitting in that SUV with our hands clasped and the jet waiting to take us toward either salvation or destruction, it was enough. The flight to Sicily took 11 hours. Leonardo spent most of it on conference calls with his legal team, his security people, his family contacts. Preparing the ground for my arrival. Making sure everyone knew I was coming under his protection. I tried to sleep but couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those gunmen in the elevator. Saw how close I'd come to dying or worse. Sophia sat across from me, cleaning her weapon with methodical precision. You did good today, she said without looking up. Stepping forward like that. Buying us time. I thought you'd be angry. That I put myself at risk. You made a tactical decision under pressure. That's what training is for. She looked up, her expression serious. But next time, maybe trust that we can handle ourselves instead of offering yourself as a sacrifice. There's going to be a next time? Always is. She reassembled her weapon with practiced ease. You're worth billions and you're caught between crime families. There's always a next time. Leonardo finished his calls and joined us, loosening his tie with a tired gesture. My uncle Enzo is meeting us at the airport. He's the family patriarch now that my father's gone. If we can convince him to support your claim, the rest of the family will fall in line. And if we can't convince him? Then things get complicated. He poured himself a drink. But Enzo is old school. He believes in honoring debts and keeping promises. If we can prove my father wanted you to have your inheritance, he'll support it. Even if it costs the family. You make him sound honorable. He is. In his own way. Leonardo's smile was wry. He's also a murderer, a criminal, and occasionally a tyrant. But yes, honorable. Which is more than I can say for most people in our world. The plane began its descent. Through the window, I could see Sicily emerging from the darkness, a mountainous island jeweled with lights, ancient and beautiful and dangerous. My father's homeland. My homeland now, I supposed. The jet touched down at a private airfield outside Palermo. As we disembarked, the Sicilian night wrapped around us, warm despite the late hour, scented with citrus and sea salt. A convoy of cars waited on the tarmac. And standing beside the lead vehicle was a man in his 70s, silver-haired and dignified, with Leonardo's sharp features softened by age. Zio Enzo, Leonardo called, moving forward to embrace him. They spoke in rapid Italian, too fast for me to follow with my limited knowledge. But I caught my name, caught the way Enzo's eyes found me repeatedly during the conversation. Finally, Leonardo switched back to English. Emilia, this is my Uncle Enzo. Uncle, this is Emilia Thorne. Antonio's daughter. Enzo approached me slowly, his dark eyes assessing. You have your mother's face, he said, his English heavily accented but clear. Isabella was beautiful. Too good for this life. You knew her? I met her once. When Antonio was courting her. His expression grew distant. I told him she would never survive in our world. That he should let her go. Find happiness elsewhere. He refocused on me. He didn't listen. He never did. I'm sorry for. Don't apologize for existing. His tone was sharp but not unkind. You are Antonio's blood. My blood. That makes you family, whether convenient or not. He looked at Leonardo. You did right bringing her here. Under family protection, the Castigliones won't dare move against her. Someone already tried, Leonardo said grimly. Professional contractors. In Manhattan. 6 men. Enzo's expression darkened. Show me the bodies. We left them for the authorities. But I have photos, identifications. Send them to me. I'll find out who hired them. Enzo turned back to me. You must be exhausted. The estate is ready for you. We drove through winding mountain roads, climbing higher into the hills. The view was spectacular, the lights of Palermo below, the Mediterranean stretching dark and endless beyond. Finally, we arrived at the Ventresi estate. It was a fortress disguised as a villa, ancient stone walls, terraced gardens, commanding views in every direction. But I could see the cameras, the guards, the reinforced gates. Beauty and violence in equal measure. Inside was equally impressive, frescoed ceilings, marble floors, furniture that had witnessed centuries of family history. A museum of wealth built on blood. Your rooms, Enzo said, showing me to a suite that was larger than my old apartment. Rest tonight. Tomorrow we discuss business. And tomorrow night, he smiled slightly. Tomorrow night, you meet the family. All of them. After he left, I stood at the window, looking out over the terraced gardens to the sea beyond. Somewhere down there, my mother had walked these same grounds. Had loved the man who built this empire. Had chosen to leave it all behind. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. Leonardo entered without waiting for permission, carrying 2 glasses of wine. You should be resting, I said. So should you. He handed me a glass. But neither of us can we? What happens tomorrow night? When I meet everyone? You claim your birthright in front of witnesses. The family acknowledges you publicly. And anyone who wants to challenge it has to go through all of us. He sipped his wine. It's a declaration of war, essentially. But one fought on our terms in our territory. And if some of them hired those contractors? If they want me dead? Then tomorrow night will be very interesting. His smile was cold. Which is why Sophia will be tasting your food. Why Anton will be checking every room you enter. Why I'll be standing beside you the entire time. As my brother. The word fell between us like a stone. Leonardo's expression shuddered. As your brother, he agreed. And your protector. Nothing more. Leonardo. Don't. He set down his glass. Don't make this harder than it already is. I just wanted to say thank you. For everything. For risking your inheritance, your safety, your relationship with your family. For choosing me. He moved closer, close enough that I could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight he carried. I didn't choose you, Emilia. You chose yourself. Chose to fight instead of run. All I did was stand beside you. That's not nothing. No, he agreed quietly. It's not. We stood there, inches apart, both aware of the line we couldn't cross. Both mourning it. Finally, Leonardo stepped back. Get some rest. Tomorrow changes everything. After he left, I finished my wine alone, staring out at the Sicilian night. Tomorrow, I'd meet the family. Tomorrow, I'd officially claim my inheritance. Tomorrow, I'd find out if I'd walked into sanctuary or a trap. But tonight, in this ancient villa overlooking the sea, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Fighting for what was mine. Standing my ground. Refusing to break. Chapter 7. The Girl in the Cellar. The family dinner was scheduled for 8 p.m. Sophia spent the afternoon preparing me like a soldier going into battle. Dress is traditional but expensive, she instructed, holding up a deep burgundy gown that probably cost more than my former annual salary. You need to look like you belong. Like Antonio's daughter, not some American interloper. I am an American interloper. You're also a Ventresi. Act like it. She began pinning my hair up in an elegant twist. Remember, the women will judge you more harshly than the men. They'll see you as a threat to their sons' inheritances. Be respectful but not submissive. Strong but not aggressive. Any other impossible balances I should strike? Just don't eat or drink anything I haven't cleared first. Don't go anywhere alone. And if shooting starts, get behind Leonardo or me immediately. You're joking about the shooting, right? Sophia's expression in the mirror was deadly serious. I never joke about gunfire. By 7:30 I was ready, or as ready as I'd ever be. The dress fit perfectly, elegant and sophisticated, making me look like someone who belonged in ballrooms and boardrooms instead of hospital corridors. Sophia had applied makeup with a professional's precision, enhancing without transforming. I barely recognized the woman staring back at me from the mirror. You look like your mother, Enzo said from the doorway, making me jump. Isabella wore that dress once. At Antonio's birthday celebration, 30 years ago. I turned to face him. This was my mother's dress? Antonio kept it. Kept many of her things, even after she left. Enzo moved into the room, his expression thoughtful. He never stopped loving her. Never stopped hoping she'd come back. Foolish, perhaps. But love makes fools of us all. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to understand what you represent to this family. You're not just Antonio's illegitimate child. You're the living proof that he was capable of love. Of putting something above the empire. Enzo's eyes were sharp, assessing. That makes you either very precious or very dangerous. The family hasn't decided which yet. And you? What have you decided? He smiled slightly. I've decided you're your mother's daughter. Which means you're stronger than you look. Strong enough, perhaps, to survive what's coming. Before I could ask what he meant, Leonardo appeared in the doorway. He stopped when he saw me, his expression shifting through surprise, recognition, something that looked like pain. She looks like Isabella, doesn't she? Enzo said quietly. Yes. Leonardo's voice was rough. She does. Then let's hope the family sees what Antonio saw. A woman worth protecting. Worth honoring. Enzo moved toward the door. Everyone is waiting. The dining room was vast, a table that could seat 40, tonight occupied by at least 30 family members. Men in expensive suits, women dripping with jewelry, all conversations stopping as I entered on Leonardo's arm. Enzo moved to the head of the table, gesturing for me to take the seat at his right, the place of honor. Leonardo sat across from me, his eyes never leaving my face. Family, Enzo began, speaking in Italian before switching to English. Tonight, we welcome Emilia Thorne, daughter of Antonio, blood of our blood. Murmurs rippled through the room, not all approving. A woman in her 50s, beautiful and cold, spoke up. With respect, uncle, we only have her word that she's Antonio's child. DNA can be faked. Americans lie. The DNA was verified by 3 independent laboratories. Adriana's voice came from the far end of the table. I hadn't even seen her there. And witnessed by federal authorities. Emilia's claim is legally sound. Legally, perhaps. A man I didn't recognize leaned forward. But morally? Antonio had a wife. A legitimate heir. This girl is a bastard who wants to steal what isn't hers. Careful, cousin. Leonardo's voice cut like a blade. You're speaking about my sister. Your half-sister, who you've known for all of a week, who conveniently appears just when the estate is being settled. The man's smile was nasty. Forgive me if I'm skeptical of her timing. Then be skeptical of me, Enzo said sharply. Because I invited her here. I acknowledged her claim. And I stand behind it. Silence fell. Enzo's word was law in this family. Now, he continued, let us eat. And let us welcome Emilia properly. With respect and honor, as Antonio would have wished. Servants began bringing food, course after course of traditional Sicilian dishes, each more elaborate than the last. Sophia, standing behind me like a shadow, tested each dish before I ate. Subtle, professional, but everyone noticed. The cold woman from earlier, Leonardo's Aunt Constanza, I learned, watched this with narrowed eyes. You fear poison? In your own family's house? I fear nothing, I replied, keeping my voice level. But my security team is thorough. I'm sure you understand. What I understand is that you insult us with your suspicion. And you insult me by questioning my legitimacy at my father's table. I met her gaze directly. So perhaps we're even. A beat of shocked silence. Then Enzo laughed, a rich, genuine sound. She has spirit. Yes, definitely Isabella's daughter. He raised his glass. To Emilia. May she remind us all what it means to be Ventresi. The toast was repeated, some more enthusiastically than others. As dinner progressed, various family members approached, some with genuine welcome, others with thinly veiled hostility. Leonardo's cousin Marco, a man in his 30s with easy charm and dangerous eyes, seemed particularly interested. So, Emilia, what will you do with your billions? Buy a big house? A yacht? I haven't thought about it. No. His smile widened. Then perhaps you don't want the money. Perhaps you'd be willing to negotiate. Sell your claim for a reasonable sum. Everyone benefits. Marco. Leonardo's voice was a warning. I'm just asking questions, cousin. Surely that's allowed. Marco turned back to me. After all, inheriting means more than money. It means responsibility, obligation, blood debts and family loyalty. Are you prepared for that, American girl? My name is Emilia. And yes, I'm prepared. Are you? He leaned closer, his voice dropping. Are you prepared to know that your fortune is built on suffering? That every dollar in your account is paid for with someone else's pain? Marco, enough. Enzo's voice cracked like a whip. But the damage was done. The pleasant facade had cracked, revealing the truth beneath. This family, this empire, was built on violence. And by claiming my inheritance, I was claiming responsibility for it. The dinner continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. More tension, less pretense. I caught fragments of conversation in Italian, arguments about my legitimacy, speculation about my intentions, calculations about how my claim would affect various family members. Halfway through the meal, Leonardo's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. He excused himself, moving to a corner to take the call. When he returned, he leaned down to whisper in my ear. We need to talk. Privately. Now. The urgency in his voice made my stomach drop. What happened? Not here. He helped me from my chair, addressing the table. Uncle, if you'll excuse us. Security matter. Enzo nodded gravely. Go. We'll continue without you. Leonardo led me from the dining room, through winding corridors, to a private study. Anton and Sophia were already there, along with several men I didn't recognize. What's going on? I asked. We identified who hired the contractors in Manhattan. Leonardo's expression was grim. It wasn't the Castigliones. It wasn't a rival family. It was someone at this table tonight. The words hit like a physical blow. Who? We're not sure yet. The payment was routed through multiple shells. But it came from a Ventresi account. One of the family. Marco, I said immediately. He was asking about me selling my claim. Too obvious. Marco's a lot of things, but he's not stupid enough to hire killers and then taunt you at dinner. Leonardo pulled up security footage on a computer screen. We've been monitoring communications from the estate. Someone made a call 30 minutes ago. Encrypted, routed through a secure line. Can you trace it? We did. It went to a number associated with Niccolò Russo. Anton's voice was heavy. Leonardo's former right-hand man. I looked at Leonardo. The one who betrayed you before? The one who tried to kidnap me. He escaped custody during transport 2 days ago. We've been hunting him since. Leonardo's hands clenched into fists. I should have killed him when I had the chance. But if Nico's working with someone in your family, I couldn't finish the thought. Then someone at that table wants me dead, Leonardo finished grimly. And they want you dead. And they're willing to work with a traitor to make it happen. Sophia was already pulling up data on her tablet. I'm running analysis on everyone at dinner. Financial records, recent communications, travel history. If someone's dirty, we'll find them. How long will that take? I asked. Hours. Maybe days. She looked up, her expression troubled. Which means you can't go back to that dinner. Can't trust anyone in that room. She's right, Anton agreed. We need to move you to a secure location within the estate. Somewhere even the family doesn't have access to. There is nowhere on this property the family doesn't have access to, Leonardo said. Except, he stopped, his expression shifting. The wine cellar. The old one. Enzo's voice came from the doorway, making us all turn. The patriarch stood there, his expression grave. I thought that was sealed. It was. But the seals haven't been checked in years. If someone knows about it, then it's no longer secure. Enzo moved into the room, closing the door behind him. I heard some of what you said. One of my own family, working with Niccolò? Trying to kill you both? We have evidence. I don't need evidence to know my family is full of snakes. I've lived with them for 70 years. Enzo's voice was tired. But I need to know, Leonardo, do you still want to protect this girl? Even knowing it puts you at war with your own blood. Leonardo's answer was immediate. Yes. And you, Emilia? Enzo turned to me. Do you still want this inheritance? Knowing what it costs? What it makes you? I thought about my mother, running from this world. About the life she'd built away from violence and power. About the safety and normalcy she'd chosen. But I also thought about her dying young, stressed and poor and afraid. About the medical bills that had consumed our family. About the way Daniel and I had struggled, always one disaster away from ruin. Safety and normalcy hadn't saved her. Yes, I said firmly. I want what's mine. Enzo nodded slowly. Then we do this properly. Away. Blood way. He looked at Leonardo. You know what I'm asking. I do. Wait. I looked between them. What old way? What are you talking about? Enzo's expression was grave. In the old days, when the family was threatened from within, we used trial by ordeal. The accused would face judgment. If they survived, they were innocent. If they died, he shrugged. They were guilty, and the problem was solved. That's barbaric. That's tradition. That's how we've kept this family alive for 200 years. He moved to a cabinet, pulling out an ornate box. Inside was a dagger, ancient, ceremonial, the blade etched with symbols I didn't recognize. Tonight, at midnight, the family gathers. We present the evidence. We call for judgment. And whoever is guilty faces the blade. You're talking about murder. I'm talking about justice. Enzo's eyes were hard. Family justice. The only kind that matters in our world. Leonardo moved to my side. You don't have to be there. You can stay here, protected while we handle this. No. The word came out stronger than I felt. If someone at that table wants me dead, I want to look them in the eye when they're exposed. Emilia. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. I looked at Enzo. When do we start? His smile was approving. Midnight. In the wine cellar. Where all family business is settled. The hours until midnight crawled past. Sophia stayed with me, going over every possible scenario, every potential threat. Anton coordinated security. Leonardo disappeared into the estate, conferring with Enzo, preparing for what was coming. Finally, at 11:45, they came for me. The wine cellar was beneath the main house, reached through a hidden door in the kitchen. Stone steps descended into darkness, lit only by torches mounted on walls that looked medieval. The air was cool and damp, thick with the scent of earth and old wine. The cellar itself was vast, a series of interconnected rooms carved from rock, bottles lining the walls in perfect rows. But we moved past the wine storage to a final chamber at the very back. Here, the Ventresi family waited. All of them. Every person from dinner, plus others I hadn't met. Guards lined the walls, their expressions impassive but their hands near their weapons. And in the center of the room, lit by a ring of candles, stood a stone table. On it lay the ceremonial dagger. Enzo stood at the head of the table, Leonardo beside him. They'd changed into formal attire, not suits, but traditional clothing that looked centuries old. Dark, severe, heavy with symbolism. The family is gathered, Enzo intoned, his voice carrying through the chamber. We are here to render judgment. To expose treachery. To preserve the blood. He spoke in Italian, then repeated in English for my benefit. The ritual was ancient, the words formal, but the tension was modern and deadly. Bring forth the evidence, Enzo commanded. Anton stepped forward, presenting documents on a tablet, financial records, communications logs, travel manifests. All pointing to someone in this room. Someone among us has betrayed blood for profit, Enzo continued. Has worked with our enemies. Has tried to murder Leonardo and Emilia. This cannot stand. Who? Constanza demanded. Show us. Name them. Anton pulled up a final document. The payments originated from an account belonging to. A shot rang out. Anton stumbled, blood blooming across his shoulder. Guards moved immediately, weapons drawn, chaos erupting. But the shooter was already revealed. Marco, Leonardo's cousin, holding a pistol with shaking hands. I didn't want to do this, he said, his voice high and desperate. But you left me no choice. She's taking everything. Destroying everything father built. I couldn't let it happen. Marco. Leonardo's voice was deadly calm. Put down the gun. No. Not until she's gone. Not until the outsider is removed. Marco's gun swung toward me. She doesn't belong here. She's not family. She's a mistake that should have been erased 30 years ago. Guards moved to restrain him, but Marco was faster. He grabbed me, arm around my throat, gun pressed to my temple. Everyone back, he shouted. I swear to God I'll kill her right here. The room froze. Leonardo's hand moved toward his weapon, but Enzo caught his wrist. Carefully, nephew. One wrong move. There's no right move. Marco's voice cracked. Don't you see? She's already destroyed us. Turned Leonardo against his own family. Made us weak. Made us vulnerable. No, Marco. I spoke carefully, my heart hammering. You destroyed yourself. By choosing murder over honor. By working with traitors. I did what was necessary. You did what was easy. What was selfish. I thought about Sophia's training, about pressure points and leverage. But you made a mistake. What mistake? You assumed I couldn't fight back. I drove my elbow into his solar plexus, exactly where Sophia had taught me. As he doubled over, gasping, I grabbed his gun hand, twisting the weapon away with a move I'd practiced 100 times. The gun clattered to the floor. Guards descended on Marco immediately, pinning him, securing him. But the damage was done. He'd revealed himself, confessed in front of the entire family. Enzo picked up the ceremonial dagger, his expression sorrowful. Marco Ventresi, you stand accused of treason, of working with enemies, of attempting murder. How do you answer? Marco said nothing, his face pressed against the stone floor. Then I pronounced judgment. Enzo's voice was heavy with regret. Blood demands blood. Treachery demands death. And family demands justice. Wait. Leonardo stepped forward. By family law, the wronged party has the right to choose the punishment. Emilia was the target. She should decide. All eyes turned to me. The dagger gleamed in the candlelight, ancient and deadly. Marco's life balanced on my word. I thought about my mother, who'd run from this world, who'd chosen mercy over vengeance, safety over power. But I also thought about the therapist I'd been, the healer, the woman who believed people could change, could be redeemed. Exile, I said finally. Strip him of his name, his inheritance, his family ties. Send him away with nothing. Let him live with the consequences of his choices. Gasps rippled through the room. In this world, mercy was often seen as weakness. But Enzo nodded slowly. It is decided. Marco Ventresi is no more. The man who bears his name is dead to this family. Remove him. As guards dragged Marco away, screaming, cursing, promising revenge, Enzo turned to me. You could have demanded his death. The family would have supported it. I know. But killing him doesn't prove I'm strong. It just proves I'm willing to become what he is. I met his eyes. My mother left this world because she didn't want to be defined by violence. I'm claiming my place in it. But I won't let it define me either. Silence fell over the cellar. Then, slowly, Enzo began to clap. Others joined, the applause building until the stone chamber echoed with it. You have your father's blood, Enzo said, his voice carrying over the noise. But your mother's heart. That is a rare thing in our world, child. A precious thing. He raised his voice. Let it be known, Emilia Thorne is acknowledged as Antonio's daughter, as heir to half the Ventresi fortune, and as family, with all the protection and obligation that entails. The family responded in unison, the Italian words formal and binding. A ritual as old as the family itself. I was in. For better or worse, I was truly a Ventresi now. Leonardo approached as the family began to disperse, his expression unreadable. That was either very wise or very foolish. Can't it be both? His smile was brief but genuine. You continue to surprise me, Emilia Thorne. But I'd hate to be predictable. I looked around the ancient cellar, at the guards cleaning up, at the family members casting glances my way, some approving, some calculating. Is it always like this? The drama, the violence, the ceremonial judgment in underground chambers. No. Sometimes it's worse. But his tone was lighter now. Come on. Let's get you back upstairs. Anton needs medical attention, and you need rest. What happens now? With Marco? He'll be processed. Stripped of assets, removed from family records. Within 24 hours, Marco Ventresi will cease to exist legally. Leonardo's expression hardened. And if he ever tries to contact you or come near you again, exile will be the least of his concerns. As we climbed the stone steps back to the main house, leaving the wine cellar and its ancient rituals behind, I felt the weight of what I'd just done settle over me. I'd claimed my inheritance. I'd faced down a murderer. I'd shown mercy when violence was expected. I'd become, officially and irrevocably, part of the Ventresi family. And standing beside me, close enough to touch but maintaining careful distance, was the man I could never have. The brother who was so much more than that. The protector who'd chosen me over his empire. Tomorrow, the legal battles would begin. The Castigliones would respond. The world would react to my claim. But tonight, Walking through the halls of my father's house, dressed in my mother's gown, I allowed myself to feel something I hadn't felt in weeks. Even if it was an illusion. Even if it couldn't last. For tonight I was home. Chapter 8. The Scarlet Oath. 3 weeks after the wine cellar judgment, I stood in a Sicilian courtroom and officially became heir to $2 billion. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and no tolerance for theatrics, reviewed the DNA evidence, the witness testimony, the documentation of Antonio Ventresi's wishes. She listened to the Castiglione's lawyer argue that I was a fraud, an opportunist, a threat to the established order. And then she ruled in my favor. Emilia Thorne is hereby recognized as the legitimate daughter of Antonio Ventresi. All rights, privileges, and inheritances due to her as his child are confirmed and upheld. The gavel came down. Just like that, my life changed forever. Leonardo, sitting beside me in the courtroom, squeezed my hand briefly under the table. Professional. Brotherly. Nothing more. But his eyes told a different story. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. Questions shouted from every direction, cameras flashing, reporters pushing forward. Emilia, how does it feel to be a billionaire? Are you afraid of retaliation from the Castigliones? What will you do with the money? Adriana stepped forward, her voice cutting through the chaos. Miss Thorne will be making a statement at the Ventresi estate tomorrow. Until then, no comment. Sophia and Anton formed a protective barrier as we moved toward the waiting SUVs. I caught a glimpse of Vincenzo Castiglione across the street, watching from behind his own security detail. Our eyes met for a moment. He nodded once. Not concession. Not approval. Just acknowledgement. The war wasn't over. But this battle was won. Back at the estate, Enzo had arranged a celebration. The entire family gathered, even the distant relatives who'd been skeptical. Wine flowed, traditional food was served, and for a few hours, it almost felt normal. Almost. I stood on a terrace overlooking the gardens, needing air, needing space. The weight of what I'd gained pressed down on me. Not just the money, but the responsibility. The target on my back. The life I could never return to. You look troubled for someone who just won $2 billion. Leonardo joined me at the railing, keeping careful distance between us. Second thoughts. More like 10th or 11th thoughts. I watched the sun setting over the Mediterranean, painting everything gold and crimson. My mother would hate this. Everything I've become. Everything I've chosen. Your mother loved you. She'd want you safe and happy. Would she? Or would she think I've betrayed everything she sacrificed for? I turned to face him. She ran from this world, Leonardo. Gave up love and money and power to keep me away from it. And I just walked right back in. You fought back? There's a difference. He leaned against the railing, his profile sharp against the sunset. Running and fighting aren't the same thing. Aren't they? Both are just different ways of refusing to accept your circumstances. No. Running is letting fear control you. Fighting is choosing courage despite the fear. He looked at me then, really looked at me. You're one of the bravest people I've ever met, Emilia. Don't diminish that. Brave or stupid? Both. Usually at the same time. His smile was brief but genuine. But I wouldn't have it any other way. We stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the sun sink lower. Then Leonardo's expression grew serious. I need to show you something. Before tomorrow's press conference. Before everything becomes official. He offered his hand. Will you come with me? I took his hand, letting him lead me through the estate to a wing I hadn't explored yet. He stopped at a heavy wooden door, pulling out an old key. My father's private study. No one's been inside since he died. Enzo gave me permission to open it for you. The room beyond was frozen in time. Books lined the walls, papers covered the desk, a violin case sat on a side table. And everywhere, photos. Of my mother. Isabella at 20, laughing at the camera. Isabella in a green dress, dancing. Isabella with Antonio, both of them young and impossibly happy. He never stopped loving her, Leonardo said quietly. Even after she left. Even after she married someone else. This room was his shrine to what he'd lost. I moved to the desk, finding letters in my mother's handwriting. Letters Antonio had kept, preserved, treasured. I picked one up, my hands shaking. Antonio, please stop writing. Stop sending money. Stop trying to find us. I made my choice. I chose my children's safety over your world. I chose normal over empire. And I need you to respect that choice. But know this, I loved you. Part of me will always love you. You were my great passion, my impossible dream. But dreams don't survive in your world. Only nightmares do. Goodbye, my love. Please let me go. Isabella. Tears blurred my vision. She really did love him. Yes. And he loved her. Enough to honor her choice, even though it destroyed him. Leonardo moved to stand beside me. He stopped searching for her after this letter. Stopped sending money. Let her have the normal life she wanted. But he still kept all this. He kept the memory, kept the love, even when it was all he had left. Leonardo picked up the violin case, opening it to reveal the instrument inside. Not the Guarneri downstairs. This one was simpler, older. Your mother's violin. She left it behind when she ran. He kept it maintained, kept it tuned, as if someday she'd come back for it. I touched the instrument carefully, feeling the weight of history in it. Why are you showing me this? Because tomorrow, you're going to stand in front of the world and claim your father's legacy. But you should know what that legacy really was. Leonardo's voice was rough with emotion. Yes, he was a criminal. Yes, he built an empire on violence. But he was also capable of love. Of sacrifice. Of letting go of what he wanted most because it was the right thing to do. You think I should give up the inheritance? Walk away like she did? No. He moved closer. I think you should know that you have a choice. That you can be both. Can claim your inheritance and use it differently. Can honor your mother's memory while building something new. How? He pulled out a document from the desk drawer. This was in here too. My father's final wishes, written in his own hand. Never filed legally. Never made public. I took the document, reading through Antonio's careful handwriting. To my daughter, if she ever finds this. I built an empire of darkness. I hurt people, ruined lives, chose power over love. These are sins I cannot undo. But you have the chance to transform this legacy. To take what I built and make it something else. Something better. Use the money to heal instead of hurt. To create instead of destroy. To be what I could never be, someone who makes the world brighter instead of darker. This is my final wish. My only redemption. Antonio. By the time I finished reading, tears were streaming down my face. Leonardo pulled me against him, letting me cry into his shoulder, his arms tight around me. He wanted you to be better than him, Leonardo murmured. To break the cycle. To transform the darkness into something else. I don't know how to do that. Neither did he. But that didn't stop him from hoping. Leonardo pulled back enough to look at me. Emilia, I've watched you these past weeks. Watched you show mercy when violence was expected. Watched you refuse to let this world harden you. Watched you stay who you are despite everything trying to change you. I'm not that strong. You're stronger than you know. Strong enough to take $2 billion and use it to build something your mother would be proud of. His hands framed my face. That's what I want to show you tomorrow. How the empire can be transformed. How darkness can become light. Show me now. He smiled. Impatient. Terrified. If I wait until tomorrow, I might lose my nerve. All right. He released me, moving to a cabinet and pulling out architectural drawings. Remember how I told you I wanted to be an architect? That I loved creating spaces for people? Yes. I never stopped designing. Never stopped dreaming. He spread the drawings across the desk. This is what I want to build. What I've been planning for years but never had the resources to execute. The drawings showed a complex of buildings, beautiful, modern, functional. What is it? A community center. Medical clinics, music therapy rooms, vocational training facilities, housing for people transitioning out of poverty or addiction. His voice grew passionate as he explained. Everything your mother believed in. Everything you practice as a therapist. But on a massive scale. I studied the drawings, seeing the care in every detail. This would cost millions. Billions, actually. To do it right. To build them in every major city. To staff them properly. To make them self-sustaining. He looked at me. But with your inheritance and mine combined, we could do it. Could transform our father's blood money into something that actually helps people. Our inheritance combined? I looked up at him. You'd give up half your fortune for this? I'd give up all of it if it meant building something that mattered. Something that wasn't just about power and control and violence. His eyes were intense. But I can't do it alone. I need a partner. Someone who understands both worlds, the darkness we come from and the light we're trying to create. You want me to partner with you? Professionally? I want us to build this together. Use our combined resources, our combined names, our combined determination to break the cycle. He moved closer. The Ventresi Foundation. Focused on music therapy, addiction recovery, housing, education. Everything our parents couldn't give us. Everything they wished they could. The vision was beautiful. Impossible. Perfect. When did you plan all this? I've been designing it for years. But I only started believing it could happen when I met you. His voice softened. When I saw someone who'd been through hell but still believed in healing. Still believed people could change. Still believed the world could be better. Leonardo. I know what we are to each other. I know what's forbidden. I know we can never be what He stopped, jaw clenching. But we can be this. Can be partners in creation instead of destruction. Can honor our parents' memories by building something neither of them could imagine. I looked at the drawings, at the vision he'd poured into them. At the possibility of transforming everything our fathers had built into something that actually mattered. Yes, I said. Yes, let's build it. His smile transformed his face, pure joy, unguarded and real. He pulled me into an embrace that lingered too long, meant too much, crossed lines we'd been carefully maintaining. When we pulled apart, both breathing hard, the air between us crackled with everything unsaid. Tomorrow, Leonardo said, his voice rough. Tomorrow we announce it together. Show the world what the Ventresi legacy will become. The press conference was held in the estate's formal gardens, the Mediterranean sparkling behind us. Every major news outlet attended, cameras broadcasting live around the world. Leonardo and I stood together at the podium, Enzo beside us, the family arrayed behind in a show of solidarity. Thank you for coming, Leonardo began, his voice carrying over the crowd. 3 weeks ago, my half-sister Emilia was officially recognized as heir to our father's estate. Today, we're here to announce what we plan to do with that inheritance. He gestured for me to continue. I stepped to the microphone, my heart pounding. Antonio Ventresi built an empire through means that many would call criminal. My mother, Isabella, left that empire to protect me from it. And for years, I believed she'd made the right choice, that the only way to be good was to run from darkness. I paused, meeting the cameras directly. But I've learned something in these past weeks. Running from darkness doesn't make you good. It just makes you absent. Real courage is standing in the darkness and choosing to bring light. I nodded to Leonardo, who pulled up the architectural drawings on a screen behind us. The Ventresi Foundation will transform our inheritance into something our parents would never have imagined. Community centers in every major city. Free music therapy programs. Addiction recovery facilities. Vocational training. Housing for those transitioning out of poverty. All funded by our combined fortunes. All focused on healing instead of hurting. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. This wasn't the story they'd expected. My mother ran from power because she believed it could only corrupt. But I choose to believe power can also heal. Can transform. Can break cycles instead of perpetuating them. I looked at Leonardo. We choose to honor our parents by being better than they could be. By taking what they built in darkness and transforming it into light. Leonardo stepped forward again. The foundation will be independent of all family business operations. No ties to criminal enterprise. No blood money. Clean, transparent, focused solely on helping people rebuild their lives. Some will say this is publicity, I added. A way to whitewash our names. They might be right. But even if our motives are imperfect, the result will be the same: real help for real people. Real healing instead of real harm. Enzo stepped forward then, his voice carrying the weight of decades. The Ventresi family supports this vision. We pledge half of our annual profits to the foundation. And we pledge to transition our business operations away from criminal enterprise toward legitimate ventures. This will take time. Perhaps years. But it begins today. The announcement sent shockwaves through the gathered press. Questions exploded from every direction. Is this a genuine change or just rebranding? Will you cooperate with law enforcement? What about the Castigliones? Do they support this? Leonardo fielded the questions with practiced ease, while I stood beside him, my hand occasionally touching his arm for support. Professional. Brotherly. But every touch burned. After the press conference, we retreated to the study, the same room where Leonardo had shown me Antonio's final wishes. The architectural drawings were spread across every surface now, marked up with notes, revisions, possibilities. Do you think anyone believed us? I asked, pouring wine for both of us. Some did. Some didn't. Most are waiting to see if we follow through. Leonardo accepted the glass, his fingers brushing mine. But that doesn't matter. We know we're serious. We know this is real. How long will it take? To build the first center? 18 months, if we push hard. 2 years to be safe. He pulled up timelines on his tablet. We'll start in New York. Symbolically appropriate, where this all began. And the family business? Can Enzo really transition it away from crime? Slowly, carefully, with a lot of bloodshed, probably. Leonardo's expression was grim. But yes, it's possible, especially with the resources we're dedicating to legitimate ventures. We can make more money legally than we ever did illegally. It's just slower, less exciting, but sustainable. Exactly. He set down his tablet, moving to stand by the window. Thank you, Emilia, for believing in this, for making it possible. You're the one who designed it, who believed it could happen. I designed it as a fantasy. You made it real. He looked back at me. You made a lot of things real that I thought were impossible. The weight of his words hung between us. We both knew what he meant, what we couldn't say. Leonardo, don't. He held up a hand. Please, don't make this harder than it already is. I just want to say thank you. For everything. For saving me. For protecting me. For giving me a purpose that isn't just survival. I moved closer. For reminding me that darkness can transform into light. Emilia, you need to stop. His voice was pained. Every time you look at me like that, every time you stand this close, I have to remind myself of what we are. What we can't be. And it gets harder every time. I know. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. He turned away. Just let me have this distance. It's the only thing keeping me sane. I respected his boundary, moving back to the desk. What happens now? After the foundation launches? We work. We build. We transform our inheritance into something that matters. He was quiet for a moment. And eventually you'll meet someone. Someone who isn't your brother. Someone you can actually have a future with. The thought made my chest ache. And you? I'll do what I've always done. Bury myself in work. In the empire. In creating something that matters more than my own happiness. His smile was bitter. It's what I'm good at. That's not. A knock at the door interrupted us. Sophia entered, her expression troubled. Boss, we have a situation. Niccolo Russo has been spotted in Palermo. He sent a message. He wants to meet with Emilia. Alone. Leonardo's expression went deadly. Absolutely not. He says he has information about the Castigliones. About their next move against her. Sophia handed over a tablet. And he says if she doesn't come, he'll release that information to them instead. I read the message. It was brief, threatening, and very specific about where and when he wanted to meet. It's a trap, Leonardo said immediately. He's working with whoever in the family wants you dead. This is an ambush. Maybe. Or maybe he really does have information. I looked at the details. The meeting place is public. Data. Cafe in the old city. Doesn't matter. You're not going. Leonardo. I said no. His voice left no room for argument. I'm not risking you for information we can get other ways. What if we can't get it other ways? What if this is our only warning about what the Castigliones are planning? I met his eyes. I'm not helpless anymore. Sophia's trained me. Anton's taught me tactical awareness. And I'll have a full security team. That's not the point. Then what is the point? That you want to keep me safe by keeping me locked away. I stood, facing him directly. I thought we were partners. That we were building something together. Partners trust each other to make decisions. He flinched as if I'd struck him. This isn't about trust. It's about not being willing to risk you for anything. Information, strategy, tactical advantage. None of it matters if you're dead. And what kind of life is that? Being so protected I might as well be in a cage. I moved closer, making him look at me. You said I was brave. That I reminded you what courage looked like. So trust me to be brave now. Trust me to make this choice. Leonardo was silent for a long time, his jaw working, his hands clenched into fists. Finally, he turned to Sophia. Maximum security. Snipers on every roof. Every exit covered. Sophia doesn't leave her side. And if anything feels wrong, we extract immediately. Sophia nodded. Understood. And I'm going too, Leonardo added. Not to the meeting, but nearby. Close enough to respond if needed. That's not non-negotiable. He cut me off. You want to take this risk? Fine. But I'm going to be there to make sure it doesn't get you killed. It wasn't the agreement I wanted, but it was the one I was going to get. I said. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. We meet Niccolo and find out what he knows. The cafe Niccolo had chosen was in Palermo's oldest district, all narrow streets and ancient buildings. Tourist-friendly but with enough locals that an attack would cause international headlines. Smart choice. For an ambush or for actual information? I sat at an outdoor table, a cappuccino in front of me that Sophia had already tested for poison. She stood behind me, her hand never far from her weapon. Around the perimeter, I could feel Anton's snipers watching, tracking, ready. And somewhere nearby, Leonardo waited. I couldn't see him, but I could feel his presence like a physical thing. At exactly 2 p.m., Niccolo approached. He looked worse than when I'd seen him last, thinner, harder, with the desperate edge of someone who knew he was running out of options. He sat across from me without asking permission. Emilia, thank you for coming. I didn't do it for you. I did it for the information. I kept my voice cold. So, what do the Castigliones have planned? Right to business. I can respect that. He signaled the waiter, ordering an espresso. The Castigliones are done playing games. Vincenzo's dying. Cancer, 6 months at most. And before he goes, he wants to settle all debts. What does that mean? It means he's planning something big. Something that will hurt the Ventreses so badly they'll never recover. Niccolo leaned forward. He knows about your foundation. About your plans to go legitimate. And he sees it as weakness. As proof that Leonardo's going soft. So what's the plan? He's going to target the foundation directly. Not you. Not Leonardo. The centers you're building. The people you're trying to help. Niccolo's expression was grim. He's going to turn your greatest achievement into your greatest failure. Destroy the centers, hurt the people inside, and make the world blame the Ventresi name for bringing violence to innocent communities. My blood ran cold. When? I don't know exactly. But soon. Before the first center opens. Before you can claim any victories. He sat back as his espresso arrived. That's what I know. That's why I wanted to warn you. But why warn us at all? You betrayed Leonardo. Tried to help kill me. Why help us now? Niccolo was quiet for a long moment, stirring his espresso with mechanical precision. Because I owe Leonardo. He gave me a life when I had nothing, and I repaid that by betraying him for money, for promises the Castigliones never intended to keep. That doesn't answer my question. I'm dying, Emilia. Same cancer as Vincenzo, just faster. I've got maybe 2 months. He met my eyes. I want to do one decent thing before I go. Warning you about the attack, that's my one decent thing. I studied him, looking for deception, for manipulation. Saw only a man facing his mortality with regrets piling up. If you're lying, I'm not. I swear on everything I have left, which admittedly isn't much, I'm not lying. He finished his espresso in one gulp. Use the information however you want. Just know that Vincenzo Castiglione's final move will be against everything you're trying to build. Not your body. Your legacy. He stood, pulling out money for his coffee. For what it's worth, I hope you succeed. Hope you break the cycle. Hope you're everything Leonardo thinks you are. Then he was gone, disappearing into the crowd before I could respond. Sophia immediately moved to my side. We're leaving. Now. Back at the safe house Leonardo had set up for the meeting, we reviewed everything Niccolò had said. Leonardo paced like a caged animal, his mind working through possibilities. If he's telling the truth. He is, I said. I saw his face. He's dying, Leonardo. He has nothing left to lose and everything to atone for. Then we need to accelerate security on every foundation site. Triple guards. Install better surveillance. Screen every contractor, every vendor, every person who comes near. He pulled up files, already making lists. And we need to warn the communities. Give them the option to back out before violence finds them. No. I stood, moving to stop his pacing. If we do that, we prove Vincenzo right. We prove that the Ventresi name only brings violence. That we can't build anything good without destroying it. Better to prove him right than to get innocent people killed. What if there's a third option? What if we use his plan against him? I thought quickly, pieces falling into place. We know the attack is coming. We can prepare for it. Turn the sites into traps. Catch his people in the act. Prove to the world that the Castigliones are the aggressors, not us. Leonardo stopped pacing, considering. That's dangerous. If we miscalculate if they hurt people, then we make sure they don't. We evacuate the sites without making it obvious. Install decoys. Set up surveillance that catches everything. I moved closer. We make Vincenzo Castiglione's final act the thing that destroys his family's reputation forever. Slowly, Leonardo smiled. That's brilliant. And vicious. And exactly what my father would have done. Your father would have just killed everyone. I'm proposing we trap them and expose them. Totally different. His laugh was genuine. You're learning. I had a good teacher. Our eyes met and held. The air between us charged with everything unspoken. Emilia. I know, I said softly. I know what we are. What we can't be. But can I say something? Just once, and then never again. He hesitated, then nodded. In another life, one where we weren't siblings, where we met differently, where the circumstances were anything other than what they are, I would have fallen in love with you. Completely. Irrevocably. The words came out rushed, desperate. And I need you to know that. Need you to know that what I feel isn't just gratitude or Stockholm Syndrome or anything explainable. It's real. Even if it can't be. Leonardo's expression cracked, showing the pain beneath. Don't. You said I could say it once. This is that once. I blinked back tears. I won't say it again. I won't make it harder. I'll be your partner, your friend, your sister. Whatever you need me to be. But I needed you to know. He pulled me against him, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. In that other life, he whispered into my hair, I would have fought wars for you. Would have burned down everything I built just to keep you safe. Would have chosen you over the empire without a second thought. But not in this life. Not in this life. He released me, stepping back, putting distance between us again. In this life, we build the foundation. We change the legacy. We honor our parents by being better than they could imagine. And we do it as family. As family, he agreed. Nothing more. We stood there, mourning a future that never existed, grieving for something that was never born. Then, slowly, I extended my hand. Partners. He took it, his grip firm and sure. Partners. And maybe that was enough. Maybe saving the world together was its own kind of love. Maybe transforming darkness into light was the only happy ending we'd ever get. But as we stood there, hands clasped, both of us knowing it was the closest we'd ever come to actually touching, it felt like more. It felt like everything. Epilogue. Saved in the dark. 6 months later. The New York Community Center opened on a Tuesday morning in early spring. I stood in the main hall, all soaring ceilings and natural light, exactly as Leonardo had designed it, and watched as people filtered in. Former addicts looking for counseling. Kids needing after-school programs. Women fleeing domestic violence seeking safety. All of them welcomed, all of them helped, all of them free. The music therapy wing was my domain. 6 soundproofed rooms, each equipped with instruments, recording equipment, everything needed to help people heal through sound. My former colleagues from St. Catherine's had transferred over, thrilled to have resources they'd only dreamed about before. We did it, Sophia said, appearing at my elbow. She'd taken the position of head of security for the foundation, bringing her skills to protecting people instead of just me. Actual functional good in the world. I'm almost impressed with us. Almost. Let's see if we can go a full week without someone trying to kill you. Then I'll be fully impressed. But she was smiling. In 6 months, Sophia had become more than my guard. She'd become my friend. The dedication ceremony was scheduled for noon. Press, politicians, community leaders, everyone who'd doubted this could work had come to see if we'd actually pulled it off. And one person who'd believed from the beginning. Leonardo entered through the main doors, stopping to take in the space. He'd been in and out during construction, but seeing it finished, filled with people, alive with purpose, his expression shifted to something unguarded and real. The face of a man seeing his dream made tangible. He found me in the crowd, and for a moment, everything else fell away. Just us. Just the thing we'd built together from blood money and broken dreams. Then Adriana appeared, her tablet already out, reviewing the ceremony schedule. We're ready when you are. Leonardo speaks first, then Emilia, then we let the center speak for itself. We moved to the makeshift stage, just a platform at one end of the hall, nothing fancy. The crowd gathered, cameras positioned, the world watching to see if this was real or just an elaborate PR stunt. Leonardo approached the microphone first. 6 months ago, my sister and I stood in Sicily and promised to transform our inheritance into something that healed instead of hurt. Today, that promise becomes reality. He gestured to the space around us. This center represents everything our father wasn't. Everything we're determined to be. A place where people come to rebuild, not to be broken. Where darkness transforms into light. His eyes found mine. But I can't take credit for this. The vision, the design, that was me. But the heart? The belief that this could actually work? That came from Emilia. From someone who never stopped believing people could change. Could heal. Could be better than their worst moments. The crowd applauded as I moved to the microphone. My mother ran from power because she believed it only corrupted. But I've learned that power is just a tool. It can destroy or it can build. It can harm or it can heal. I looked at the faces in the crowd, people who'd already been helped by the center's programs, people who'd come seeking hope. We choose to build. We choose to heal. And we invite everyone who shares that choice to join us. After the ceremony, after the press dispersed and the politicians left, after the crowd thinned to just staff and the first residents, I found Leonardo in the music therapy wing. He stood in one of the soundproofed rooms, looking at the instruments we'd carefully selected. My mother would have loved this, he said without turning around. All these years she wanted to teach, to use music to help people. And my father wouldn't let her. But we did. We made it possible. You made it possible. He turned to face me. This was always your dream, Emilia. I just gave it architecture. We built it together. Like everything else. I moved into the room, running my fingers over a piano keyboard. Have you played since we started the foundation? No. Haven't had time. That's a lie. You've had plenty of time. You just haven't let yourself. I sat at the piano bench. Play with me. Just once. To christen the room properly. Emilia. It's been 6 months, Leonardo. 6 months of careful distance and professional boundaries. 6 months of being exactly what we're supposed to be to each other. I met his eyes. Can't we have just one moment? Just this one thing? He hesitated, then moved to sit beside me on the bench. Close but not touching. Never touching. What should we play? Something beautiful. Something that says we won. I thought for a moment. Beethoven. Moonlight Sonata. Third movement. That's ambitious. We're ambitious people. His fingers found the keys, and mine joined a beat later. The music that emerged was imperfect. We stumbled over passages, lost synchronization, had to restart twice. But when we finally played it through, when the final notes faded into the soundproofed silence, it was more beautiful than any perfect performance could have been. Because it was ours. Built together from broken pieces. From two people who couldn't have each other but could have this. Thank you, Leonardo said quietly, for not giving up on me. On this. On believing we could be more than our fathers. Thank you for choosing me over the empire. For showing me that darkness can transform. We sat in silence for a moment, shoulders nearly touching, breathing the same air. Everything we couldn't say hanging between us like music not yet played. I need to tell you something, Leonardo finally said. Before you hear it from someone else. My stomach dropped. What? The board is pressuring me to marry. Form an alliance with another family. Strengthen the business now that we're transitioning to legitimate operations. He still wasn't looking at me. I've been resisting but you can't resist forever. I understand. The words came out steadier than I felt. Have they chosen someone? They have candidates. None of them matter. He turned to face me then. But I wanted you to hear it from me first. Wanted you to know that whoever I marry, whatever alliance I form, it won't change what we built here. Won't change our partnership. Just your life. Your future. Everything else. Emilia. I'm happy for you. The lie tasted bitter. You deserve someone. Deserve a real relationship, not this. I gestured between us. This impossible thing we keep dancing around. I don't want someone. I want. He stopped himself. It doesn't matter what I want. It never did. We sat in the awful silence of everything unsaid. Everything that couldn't be. Finally I stood. I should go. There's a therapy session in an hour. A little girl who reminds me of the one I had to leave behind at St. Catherine's. Maybe I can actually help her this time. Emilia, wait. But I was already moving toward the door, needing distance, needing air, needing to not fall apart in front of him. For what it's worth, Leonardo called after me, his voice raw. In every life, in every universe, in every possible version of reality, I would choose you. Every time. I stopped in the doorway, not turning around because if I did, I'd break. But not in this one. Not in this one. I left before he could see me cry. 3 months later, the Sicily estate blazed with light. Leonardo's engagement party, a formal affair with hundreds of guests, all the right families, all the proper alliances being formed and strengthened. I stood on the terrace where we'd first talked about transformation, watching through the windows as Leonardo danced with his fiancée. She was beautiful, intelligent, poised, from a banking family that would help legitimize the Ventresi operations. Perfect on paper. Nothing like me. You don't have to be here, you know. Sophia appeared beside me, holding 2 glasses of champagne. You've paid your respects. You can leave. And look like I'm running away? Give the gossips something to whisper about? I accepted the champagne. I'll stay until the appropriate time. Play my part. Be the supportive sister. Sister. Sophia said the word like it tasted wrong. Is that what you are? It's what I have to be. We stood in silence, watching the party inside. Leonardo looked happy. Or at least he looked the part. smiling at the right moments, saying the right things, playing the role of devoted fiancé. I wondered if anyone else could see the emptiness in his eyes. "Boss is here," Sophia said quietly. I turned to find Enzo approaching, moving slowly with his cane. The months had aged him, but his eyes were still sharp. "You're hiding," he observed. "I'm taking air. You're avoiding watching the man you love marry someone else." He settled into a chair with a grunt. "Don't bother denying it. I've been watching you two for months. The careful distance. The way you light up around each other and then remember why you can't. It's torture. It's appropriate. He's my brother. Half-brother. And only by blood, not by raising. If circumstances were different. But they're not." I set down my champagne untouched. "This is reality, Enzo. He needs a wife. An alliance. A future that doesn't include impossible complications. And what about what he wants? What he wants doesn't matter. It never did." Enzo was quiet for a long moment. "You're stronger than your mother. She ran from impossible choices. You faced them head-on. But sometimes, child, strength isn't about endurance. Sometimes it's about knowing when to let go." "I have let go." "Have you?" He gestured toward the party. "Because standing here torturing yourself while he marries someone else doesn't look like letting go. It looks like punishment." "Then what would you have me do? Abandon the foundation we built? Pretend none of this happened?" "I would have you live. Actually live. Not just survive." Enzo struggled to his feet. "The foundation will run without you hovering. Leonardo will marry his banker's daughter. And you will find something that's just yours. Not built with him. Not connected to this family. Just yours." He started to leave, then paused. "Your mother's violin. The one Antonio kept. It's yours now. Take it. Leave this place. Build something that makes you happy instead of something that makes you useful." After he left, I stood alone on the terrace, his words echoing in my mind. Actually live. When had I stopped doing that? When had survival and purpose become the same thing? A throat cleared behind me. Leonardo stood in the doorway, having escaped the party. His tie was loosened, his jacket discarded, looking more like himself than he had all evening. "You're leaving early," he observed. "Am I? I saw you talking with Enzo. Saw your face after." He moved to the railing, maintaining careful distance. "What did he say?" "That I should let go. That I should live instead of survive." I looked at him. "That I should take my mother's violin and leave." Leonardo's jaw tightened. "Is that what you want?" "I don't know what I want anymore." The honesty surprised me. I thought I wanted to fight, to claim my inheritance, to transform the empire. And I did all that. But now you're watching me marry someone else and wondering if any of it was worth it. Yes. We stood in silence, the party noise drifting out from inside. Laughter, music, celebration of a future that didn't include us. "She's nice," Leonardo finally said. "Maria. Smart, capable, believes in what we're doing with the foundation. I could do much worse. You could also do better." "Could I?" He turned to face me fully. "Better would be you, Emilia. Better would be choosing love over duty. But we both know that's not possible. So I choose the next best thing. Someone I can respect. Someone who'll help build the empire we're creating. And love. Love is for people who have the luxury of choosing." His smile was bitter. "We're not those people." "No. I suppose we're not." The music inside changed. A waltz, traditional and formal. Leonardo extended his hand. "Dance with me. Just once. Before everything becomes real." "Leonardo." "Just one dance, Emilia. One last moment before I'm married and you leave and we become exactly what we're supposed to be to each other. Nothing more." I took his hand, letting him pull me close. Closer than we'd been in months. Close enough to feel his heartbeat, to smell his cologne, to remember every moment we'd shared before duty and blood had made everything impossible. We danced on the terrace under Sicilian stars, the party continuing without us, the world spinning on while we stole one final moment. I'm sorry, Leonardo whispered against my hair. For all of it. For saving you and trapping you. For giving you a purpose that keeps you chained to me. For falling in. He stopped. For everything. Don't apologize. I made my choices. I claimed my inheritance. I built the foundation. All of it was me. I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. But Enzo's right. I need to live. Actually live. Not just exist in orbit around you. What will you do? I don't know yet. Maybe travel. Maybe start a music therapy program that's just mine, not connected to the foundation. Maybe figure out who Emilia Thorne is when she's not busy being a Ventresi. I smiled through tears. Maybe find someone I can actually have. Pain flashed across his face. I want that for you. Want you to be happy. I know. And I want the same for you. Even if it's with someone else. The song ended. We stood there, still holding each other, both knowing we needed to let go and neither willing to be the first. Finally, Maria appeared in the doorway, looking for her fiancé. Leonardo? They're asking for us. He released me immediately, stepping back into appropriate distance. Coming. He turned back once before going inside. In another life. I know, I said. In another life, we would have been everything. We already are everything. Just not the kind that gets a happy ending. Then he was gone, returning to his fiancée, to his duty, to the future he'd chosen because the one he wanted was impossible. I stayed on the terrace until the party ended, until the guests departed, until the estate fell quiet. Then I went to Antonio's study, now mine, technically, along with half of everything else, and found my mother's violin. Enzo was right. It was time to build something just for me. Time to live instead of survive. Time to let go of the man I could never have and the love that could never be. I packed that night. Not much. I'd accumulated surprisingly little in 9 months of being a billionaire. Mostly just clothes and the violin and a few photographs of the foundation opening. Sophia found me in the morning. You're really leaving? For a while. I need perspective. Need to figure out who I am when I'm not busy being Leonardo's partner or Antonio's daughter. Where will you go? Paris, I think. Study at the conservatory. Actually learn to play this violin properly. I secured the case. The foundation will run fine without me. You'll all make sure of it. And Leonardo? Leonardo will marry Maria in 6 months. They'll have children. Build a legitimate empire. Change the world in all the ways we dreamed about. My voice only cracked a little. And I'll be happy for him. Eventually. Sophia pulled me into a rare embrace. You're the bravest person I've ever met, Emilia Thorne. Don't forget that. I'm not brave. I'm just tired of being in love with someone I can't have. That's the same thing. 1 year later. The Paris Conservatory's spring concert featured advanced students. I sat in the audience, watching young musicians perform, remembering when I thought music therapy was my entire world. Now I knew it was just one part, one piece of a much larger picture. After the concert, I went to my favorite cafe, a tiny place near the Seine where tourists rarely ventured. The owner knew me now, had my usual ready before I sat down. I was reviewing applications for my new program, Music Therapy for Refugees, independent of the foundation, funded by my own money, when a shadow fell across my table. Emilia Thorne. I've been looking for you. I looked up to find a man in his 40s, handsome in a weather-worn way, with kind eyes and a musician's hands. I'm sorry, do I know you? Not yet. But I saw you play last month at the refugee center. That piece you composed, the one about transformation? He smiled. It changed my life. I'm a composer. Was a composer. I gave it up years ago. But hearing you play reminded me why I fell in love with music in the first place. Thank you. That's very kind. I was wondering if you'd let me buy you coffee. Talk about music. About healing. About what happens when you let yourself create again after years of forgetting how. His smile widened. I'm Julian, by the way. Julian Marchand. I hesitated. This man wasn't Leonardo. Wasn't dangerous or complicated or impossible. He was just someone who loved music and wanted to talk. Someone I could actually have. Yes, I said, surprising myself. I'd like that. As Julian sat down, as we began talking about music and healing and second chances, I felt something shift inside me. Not forgetting Leonardo, I'd never forget him. Not stopping loving him, that was impossible. But making space for something else. Something new. Something that was just mine. My phone buzzed with a message from Sophia. Foundation opening center number 5 in Chicago next month. Boss wants to know if you're coming. I looked at Julian, listening as he described a piece he was composing about refugees finding home. Looked at the life I was building here, teaching, healing, creating without the weight of impossible love crushing me. I typed back, tell him I'll think about it. It wasn't a no. But it wasn't the automatic yes it would have been a year ago. I was learning to live instead of survive. Learning to choose myself instead of duty. Learning that love didn't always mean sacrifice and distance and wanting what you couldn't have. Sometimes love meant letting go. Sometimes it meant building something new from the ashes of what couldn't be. And sometimes, just sometimes, it meant sitting in a Parisian cafe with a kind man who wanted to talk about music, and allowing yourself to imagine a future that didn't hurt. I didn't know if Julian and I would become something more. Didn't know if I'd ever stop loving Leonardo. Didn't know if the foundation would succeed or fail or something in between. But I knew I was finally, truly living. Not just surviving in Leonardo Ventresi's world, but creating my own. And maybe that was the transformation my father had hoped for all along. Not changing the empire, but changing myself. From the girl in the cellar, trapped, powerless, waiting to be saved, into someone who could save herself. Someone who could love and let go. Someone who could stand in the darkness and choose to bring light. Not for anyone else, but for herself. Final scene. 2 years later. The gala for the Ventresi Foundation was in New York, celebrating 3 years of operation and 10 community centers now running across the world. I'd flown in from Paris, where Julian and I had just premiered our collaborative piece, a symphony about refugees, healing, and finding home. We weren't married. Weren't even officially together. But we were something, friends, collaborators, two people learning to love without consuming each other. It was enough. The gala was everything I expected, expensive, elegant, full of people who'd initially doubted and now wanted credit for supporting. Sophia met me at the entrance, her smile genuine. You look good. Happy. I am happy. Mostly. He'll be here. With his wife. And their daughter. The words hit harder than expected. Leonardo had married Maria 2 years ago. They'd had a daughter 6 months later, Isabella, named after my mother. I'd sent a gift but hadn't attended the christening. Distance. Self-preservation. I'm prepared. Are you? No. But I'm going in anyway. The ballroom was magnificent, exactly as Leonardo had designed it, back when we'd planned this celebration together. Before marriage. Before distance. Before everything became what it had to be instead of what we wanted. I saw him across the room immediately. Some magnetic pull that hadn't diminished with time or distance. He stood with Maria, holding their daughter, talking to donors. The perfect picture of legitimate success. Our eyes met across the crowded room. For a moment, the world fell away. Just us. Just the thing we'd built together and the love we'd sacrificed to do it. Then Maria said something, Leonardo laughed, and the moment shattered. I turned away, finding Julian by the bar. He handed me champagne, his smile understanding. You still love him? Yes. But you're here anyway? Yes. He clinked his glass against mine. That's bravery, Emilia. The real kind. Not the kind that fights. The kind that endures. The speeches began. Leonardo took the stage, his daughter in his arms, Maria beside him. The picture of everything he was supposed to be. 3 years ago, he began, my sister and I made a promise. To transform darkness into light. To break cycles instead of perpetuating them. To be better than our parents could imagine. His eyes found me in the crowd. Today, we've helped over 10,000 people rebuild their lives. provided housing for 5,000 families, given hope to countless others. And none of it would have been possible without Emilia. Applause erupted. He gestured for me to join him on stage. I shouldn't have gone up there. Should have stayed in the crowd, kept my distance, maintained the careful boundaries we'd built. But I went anyway. Standing beside him on that stage, his wife and daughter between us, the foundation's work projected on screens behind us, it felt like everything we'd sacrificed had been worth it. Like maybe impossible love could still transform the world, even if it couldn't transform into a happy ending. Thank you, I said into the microphone, for believing this could work, for proving that people can change, that darkness can become light, that love, my voice caught, that love in all its forms can heal. After the gala, after the crowds dispersed, I found myself in the community center's music therapy wing. The same one where Leonardo and I had played together 3 years ago. The piano was still there. I sat down, running my fingers over the keys. You still play beautifully. Leonardo stood in the doorway, alone now. Maria had taken their daughter home. I've been practicing. Julian says I'm almost good. Julian is the composer? Yes. And you're happy? With him. I'm happy with my life. Julian is part of that. A good part. I kept my eyes on the keys. Are you happy? With Maria? With Isabella? I'm content. Maria is everything I could ask for. Brilliant, kind, believes in what we're doing. And Isabella, his voice softened. She's perfect. You should meet her properly. Maybe someday. He moved into the room, sitting beside me on the bench. Like old times. Like nothing had changed. Like everything hadn't changed. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. For leaving. For building something that's just yours. For finding happiness that doesn't include me. I haven't found happiness. I found peace. There's a difference. And Julian? Julian is someone I can actually have. That's its own kind of miracle. We sat in silence, close but not touching, both of us aware of how much and how little had changed. In another life, Leonardo started. Don't. I stopped him. Don't say it again. We've said it enough. In another life, in another universe, in every other reality. But not this one. Never this one. No. Not this one. I stood, needing distance. I should go. Julian's waiting at the hotel. Emilia, wait. Leonardo rose as well. I need you to know, watching you build a life without me, watching you find happiness I can't give you, it's the hardest and best thing I've ever witnessed. Why? Because it means I didn't destroy you. Didn't trap you in my darkness. You transformed yourself. Became light not because of me but despite me. His voice was rough with emotion. That's the greatest gift you could have given me. Proof that I didn't ruin everything I touched. You didn't ruin me, Leonardo. You saved me. In the dark, in the impossible, in everything we couldn't be, you saved me. I moved toward the door. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's our happy ending. Not together. But both of us saved from the darkness we were born into. Emilia. Goodbye, Leonardo. Be happy with Maria. Love Isabella. Build the empire we dreamed of. And know that somewhere in Paris, I'm doing the same. Building. Creating. Living. Will I see you again? The galas. At foundation events. In passing. I smiled through tears. But not like this. Not alone. Not torturing ourselves with what we can't have. Promise me one thing. What? Promise you'll keep playing. Keep creating. Keep being the light you brought into my darkness. His eyes held mine. Promise you won't let the sacrifice we made be for nothing. I promise. If you promise the same. I promise. I left before I could change my mind. Before I could do something stupid like confess that I still loved him. That I'd always love him. That Julian was wonderful but he wasn't Leonardo. Because Leonardo was right. Some loves weren't meant to be together. They were meant to transform us. To save us from our worst selves. To prove we were capable of choosing light over darkness. And that's what we'd done. Not together. But because of each other. Outside the community center, Julian waited by a taxi. He took one look at my face and pulled me into an embrace. You said goodbye. I said goodbye. And now we go back to Paris. Finish our symphony. Help more people. Live more life. I pulled back to look at him. Is that enough? It's everything, he said simply. And maybe it was. Not the love story I'd imagined. Not the fairy tale with the impossible prince. But a real story. A true story. A story about survival and transformation and learning to love the life you have instead of mourning the one you can't. As the taxi pulled away, I looked back once at the community center, at the building Leonardo and I had dreamed into existence, at the light blazing from every window, at the proof that darkness could transform into something beautiful. And I thought about my father writing his final wishes. About my mother choosing to run. About Leonardo choosing duty. About me choosing to live. All of us trying to break cycles. All of us trying to be better than our worst selves. All of us saved in the dark. Not from it, but in it. Finding light not by escaping darkness, but by refusing to let it define us. That was my inheritance. Not the money. Not the empire. Not even the love I couldn't have. But the strength to stand in darkness and choose light anyway. To be saved not by running or by staying, but by transforming. And in the end, maybe that was enough.